The Scalacci Stakes, a small field of 7. But what a field it is. So much intrigue with Overreach, Not Listening to Me, and Rubik all on the return here, as is another Group 1 winner, multiple Group 1 winner in Platelet. There's your market. Favourite is Overreach, first of last year. But you go back through this and buffering, it's a top-class sprinter off the back of 2 Black Caviars. You go back through the
Rubik jumped fairly on the inside. Platelet and Overreach began fast, and so did Not Listening to Me. He's right up there on the speed as they settle down. Iconic and Sessions go back. They put 200 behind them. And Overreach holding her place off the rail. The leader from Rubik with the fence, and then Gregors and Platelet. A length further back is Not Listening to Me. 2 to Sessions and a length and a half to Iconic. Inside the 600, Overreach the leader, but she's off the fence, and Rubik's got through on the inside and heads her now. 2 in front of Gregors, 1 to Platelet, and then came Not Listening to Me, and a length and a half to Sessions and Iconic. Around the turn, the 3-year-old Rubik first for the judge from Overreach the outside. Gregors putting in a run, and then Platelet. And then came Not Listening to Me. Rubik at the 200. He leads narrowly. Overreach coming at him. Platelet going for a split, and then Gregors. Rubik kicking on strongly. Overreach can't reach him. It's Rubik kicking on strongly. The 3-year-old Kieran again. Rubik scored. Platelet got through to get second. Overreach might hold Iconic for third, and then Gregors. Not Listening to Me and Sessions.
big day for Kieran McAvoy. They've gone slick time here, 56.68. Rubik a touch tardy away, but rallied up along the fence to keep Overreach out and around the corner. And McAvoy think
fire, and what a beautiful colt this horse is. Yeah, Sammy, I've had a look from a soapy bubble to a Brady Preble. Lovely colt.
Yeah, but as I said before, I'd been a little bit disappointed the way the horse was going and the way he come up. I'd have been a little bit disappointed if he hadn't have done that, you know.
Yeah, well, we've seen,
for yesterday, but first time for Kieran on Rubik. Platelet off to the Manikato, and these sprinters are setting up well. Long range plan Shark for Royal Ascot for Rubik. Valuable colt, enhance the pedigree, and
turn at Caulfield like he did in the Blue Diamond Series. Still got to prove himself at 1,200, but all he can do is win. He's come back in great shape and did look like he'd improve off the run as well. Not Listening to Me, a bit disappointing in the race, slow recovery. What about Platelet? Gee, I'm sure Darren Dance and the connections would be absolutely thrilled to see her back in such good nick.
At the start of this spring, I think originally they wanted to get him ready for races like the San Domenico and the Golden Rose. A delayed start, but look, all in all, they've done a very good job to get him back, I suppose.
A fantastic training performance and foresight by Gerald Ryan to get this horse back. He's always had confidence in him. I thought he was brilliant yesterday. He'd only had 1 trial leading into that, which is probably all you need for a 1,000-metre race, I suppose. But he'd had a break off the scene, and he was softened up a little by Overreach, and absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He's just got to tick off that next box of a strong 1,200 metres, which he gets a chance to do in the Coolmore. Overreach was very, very good. First up, lacked a bit of match practice. Another one, just 1 trial. The horse that's in trouble out of this race, considering the depth of sprinters we've got, is the highly touted Not Listening to Me. He should have done a little bit more in that race. Maybe he's got scope for improvement. He was, because he's a big boom horse as well.
It's coming back day at Flum.
Players trying to get a start into the Caulfield Cup. Some are already there. Some won't go there and go the Melbourne Cup route. But Sign-Off needs to win to get himself there. So too, Big Memory. Protectionist is in, but won't run. Sangster needs to win. Bonfire, ditto. Terrific race. Although if they do win.
Now they're away in racing. Protectionist a little slow with Lord Van Persie. Unchained My Heart slow to move immediately over their heels early. And Bonfire is the first out. Sign-Off from an outside stall with Renew. Both began fast, and Sangster is up on the speed in the early part with Waltzing to Win and Big Memory holding a good place on the inside. Bonfire has the lead down to the judge though. Coming over is Sign-Off to get up into second place. He just has to go a little bit wide because he was starting to cramp Sangster for room. So he covers ground still on the outside there. He's got up now to be second, so it's Bonfire, Sign-Off, and third on the inside, Big Memory, and Renews round the outside to fourth, and Sangster's outside of Protectionist. And at the 1,000 metres, they're being followed by Albinetti, Lord Van Persie, and then Ancient King, and Unchain My Heart is last of all. So the Herbert Power field, now headed by Bonfire, goes to the railway side, and he's out at the 800 metres, leading by about a length, Renew, and Mass Marvel, who's covered ground. Just behind them, Big Memory, followed by Sign-Off, urged along a little bit now. now by Boss, and then Waltzing to Win and Sangster about a length and a half. Protectionist making ground on the inside of Let's Make a Deal, Ancient King, Lord Van Persie, Albinetti, and Unchained My Heart is last. So Bonfire, the leader, left the fence, and Tommy Berry said, thank you very much. And Big Memory darts up on the inside and dashes for home. Wants to lug badly around the home turn, though all on the wrong leg completely is Big Memory. Coming on down the outside now is Sign Off and Bonfire, who got hampered as boxing on, and here comes Let's Make a Deal. She's storming home. Big Memory, the leader, from Sign Off and Let's Make a Deal. Big Memory clinging on. Sign Off and Let's Make a Deal are coming now. Big Memory hanging on. Does a lot wrong, but wins it. Big Memory in from Sign Off. Or Protectionist, a big eye catcher along the inside, or Let's Make a Deal, a photo for third. Lord Van Persie, his best work late as well, followed by Albinetti. So he's back towards the end with Masked Marvel.
And Tommy Berry gets Big Memory into a Caulfield Cup next week. He was number 34 on the list, and he goes up to number 4 as he beats the ballot and gets in. Sign Off will miss out on the Caulfield Cup. Unlucky because he got stuck in the wrong spot behind the tiring Masked Marvel. And while that was happening, T. Berry up the inside saved all the ground. The story here is Big Memory.
Next, and at the moment we're having a bit of an up, which you'll take every day of the week.
Excited, yeah. And Corey Brown booked for the ride in the Caulfield Cup, 52. Possible penalty tomorrow. Bossy had a throw at the stumps there from way out, probably from the 4th tier of the grandstand on the protest, but missed out. And the story of the race, pretty simple. Protectionist is your new Melbourne Cup favourite. His closing sectionals as good as anything on the day. Horseback in the blue and white on the inside.
Yeah, it was really good, really strong through the line. Probably just didn't have a lot of luck at a key stage of the race, but wound up into it well. I thought overreaction, though, installing him as favourite for the Melbourne Cup. It will certainly beat more home than beat him. I thought the other good run in the race was Lord Van Persie. He was excellent.
And about holding the race, and what about for interference all the way down the straight? Well, I thought there was a little...
There was an incident on the turn.
Yeah, look, indirect... the bump was there. That was it.
Worthy protest. It did sort of...
No, look, I'm not saying...
hold up Sign Off's momentum for a few strides.
Could a horse like this win a Caulfield Cup? Not if he makes mistakes like this and wants to get on one rein. But look, Tony's got him flying this preparation. Sign Off boxes on pretty well. And Let's Make a Deal seemed to have her chance. And obviously the imported horse has captured everyone's attention.
Yeah, the German trained horse, Protectionist. He was the run of the race outside. The winner, who's a nice horse, gets into the Caulfield Cup, I suppose, with a lightweight. The connections will want to run him in it. I don't want to be tipping him in it, but he's earned his spot in the field. There's your field. Monday, he's the mystery horse. He went out to Caulfield yesterday morning, had a gallop there, and got round very, very comfortably. So he's going to be something to beat, I think.
Interesting race.
All right, Ed. And off the track. And this is the first of the Group 1s. It's the Caulfield Stakes. For Cathay Pacific, here's your market for it. And the favourite is Dissident, the local for Peter Moody. It's been the benchmark weight for age horse going into today. And can he come out and bounce into a Cox Plate as favourite off the back of this? I think if he wins, he will. Faulkner respected at $5. Good support here for Dissident. Sacred Falls, I'm surprised, is out to 6. Is your market for this. Market mover number 10, Dissident. It's the market mover in the Group 1 feature of the Caulfield Stake. The punters are confident this will be 2,000 metres well run. He mapped so well in the race.
Ready now. And they're racing. Dear Demi jumping well down on the inside. Side Glance and Faulkner both got away well. Dissident a bit deeper, began fast. Happy Trails is just off them in the early part. And Crackerjack King, well, most speed mappers had him leading. He's back towards the end. Sacred Falls has gone back last. And it's Side Glance who's left in front now. Moving up Dissident quickly on the outside. Gets within 3/4 of the leader. Faulkner's a length and a half third. And Next Sartorius is fourth. 2 lengths further back, Crackerjack King. He's been caught wide now. Walker at the 1400. Around Dear Demi on the rail and Happy Trails in the side. Crackerjack King is deep out with Happy Trails. A length and a half further back is Criterion, Ford Teller, and then Messine and Kiramosa. And Side Glance a further 2 lengths away. So as they came up the Sacred Falls, it is up the side, and it is Side Glance by about a length and a half at the 800 metres from Dissident and Faulkner. Just behind them, Sartorius, Crackerjack King creeping up wider on the track, and then Sartorius, Dear Demi, followed by Happy Trails. 2 lengths behind them is Ford Teller, and then Criterion at the 600, still well back. back Messina and Kiramosa, and last towards the turn, Sacred Falls. So side glance, a neck in front of Dissident, Crackerjack King coming on, Faulkner right behind them's had a beautiful run, then Happy Trails and Dear Demi as they sweep around the home turn, and Sacred Falls are still well back. Side glance is joined on the outside by Dissident now. Faulkner's in the clear running on, and then came Dear Demi, and a break to Sacred Falls. The 150, Faulkner's raced up. Dissidents wilting a little bit. Sidelands fighting back, and here's Criterion. Faulkner breaks to the lead. Criterion's a late challenger. Faulkner hanging on, and he's got in from Criterion. Sidelands 2 lengths away third. Sacred Falls from last got home to get fourth, and then Happy Trails. Dissident failed to run the trip, and then Sartorius Dear Demi, followed by Foreteller Messian. Well back is Kiramosa, who ran right off the course down the straight, and Crackerjack King ends up last in.
What a race. What a race. So much to analyse here. The winner's Faulkner right into the Cox Plate calculations now. Then the Melbourne Cup. He's a winner of a Caulfield Cup. Now a Caulfield Stakes. He holds off Criterion, who's building nicely for the Cox Plate. Side glance on.
Prior to leading up to the race, he fills me with confidence. He just races perfectly, and he's showing that he's ready for the big races and further in distance too.
You jumped and you were positive on him. You wanted to make sure you held the box seat.
Yeah, I thought the main chances in the race we were going to be going forward, and obviously, of course, it's going to get further and fit. So there's no point in having a luckless run back in the field.
Well done, Nick. Bring on the Cox Plate.
Absolutely, Sammy boy.
I got to say, I wasn't saying it was a wonderful ride as they were coming around the side, because I could see him sitting there on the rail, and I thought he might end up last by the time he got out. But Nick knew what he was doing and did a remarkable job, and the horse is flying. It's great credit to Dad. He's done a wonderful job with this horse. He and Eddie Casser, they're up at the farm. They've had a huge opinion of him for 4 seasons now, and Dad's taken him along slowly. And we're really seeing the benefits of it now with this race in the Caulfield Cup last year, and hopefully he can win that elusive Cox Plate in a fortnight's time.
You talk about the longevity. Absolutely flying this horse. Faulkner, great return, and runs the Caulfield Stakes off to try and give Team Williams their first win in a Cox Plate. Because I love the way Criterion paraded yesterday and presented himself. He was good, and side glance solid here. Obviously, the story of the race, Dissident, who was right home betting for the Cox Plate, bled.
Yeah, unfortunate result for him. He'll have the 3 month on the sidelines now, but from both nostrils. A really good race. Obviously, Sacred Falls and Faulkner from a Cox Plate point of view were very, very good. As was Happy Trails. I didn't mind its effort. Dear Demi, I thought Jimmy Cassidy had a great line out of the race. Something about going like toothpaste.
He went from half pace to toothpaste.
That's just absolutely classic Cassidy there. I sure appreciate dropping back to a handicap, Rich.
Well, I thought Criterion was super. Gets back on the trail, and he's a big player come Cox.
As it stands now, with just a couple of queries on the field. Faulkner favourite from Sacred Falls, Criterion. Side glance will be out of that market, going towards the McKinnon Stakes. And the cleaner there at $18. So we've got Foreteller back in this morning.
Weight for age Faulkner. He won the Caulfield Cup last year. This year he's on a Cox Plate path. And Nick Williams from Team Williams.
So we look forward and hope, and he'll certainly remain in the frame for the Melbourne Cup. But let's
Williams.
Stories to come out is that Dissident bled, so mandatory 3 months out. And if it happens a second time, of course, they're out for life. But that's a terrible blow. 2 weeks out from a Cox Plate, isn't it?
Shocking. And he'd been so dominant so far in the early spring, but we'll move on. This is the Cox Plate form, isn't it? We've got Faulkner. Side glance does a good job from the front. Criterion's back in business. If he gets a wet track even on a dry track, he'll run well on a Cox Plate. And Sacred Falls, his hand was forced with the draw to go back to last, and a lot of merit in that Cox Plate trial.
A horse that people suspect doesn't run 2,000 metres, but he ran every bit of it yesterday.
He runs it. And Happy Trails was okay. He sticks on well late. This is the Cox Plate form. Read it as you want to read it and bet accordingly.
The winner of the Cox Plate's in there. Is that what you think?
Well, unless this Adelaide is something out of the box, but yeah. I'd be right. That's the race we're going to look at.
All right. Up from the Caulfield Stakes. Here's the Toorak handicap. The favourite is Trust in Augusta, and we're going for another Group 1 with this horse, and it's your favourite, $5. Top price at $5.50. Solicit. That is the news as we get to it. $5.50 as low as 4.2, now back to 4.4, and is the market mover. Sammy's got Craig Williams.
Craig Williams, Arabian Gold. It's her first time.
The favourite, they're racing And Trust in August jumps pretty well over towards the outside. Speediness Escato got away quickly with Desert Journey and Late Charge down towards the inside. Here's Solicit coming over now, and she quickly goes across the field and takes up the running. So Solicit by 2. Trust in August moved to second on the outside of Escato. Arabian Gold's got over 4th. Closely followed by Akavurin Deep Out and Tristram Sun, followed by Desert Journey the Rail. A length to Late Charge on the outside of Speediness, and they're followed by Atalante, a little worse in midfield. Bull Point's next on the inside, followed by Commanding Jewel, Guest of Honour, Rhythm to Spare, and Reciter's back last of all as they go to the railway side. And Solicit's allowed to roll clear today. 2 lengths in front of Trust in August and 2 lengths Arabian Gold. Escato's 4th on the inside, followed by wider out Akavurin. About a length and a half, Desert Journey, Tristram Sun, 1 to Late Charge, and then Atlante, followed back behind those horses, Bull Point on the inside of Speediness, Commanding Jewel, Guest of Honour third last, followed by Rhythm to Spare and Recite. It's Solicit coming around the home turn by 2 lengths, Trust in August, a length and a half to Akavurin, followed by Escato, Arabian Gold's hard ridden, and then came Desert Journey, Tristram Sun as they swing the corner from Late Charge and Bull Point on the rail into the straight. Solicit headed by Trust in August, who's dashed to the front now. Down the outside, Desert Journey at big odds from Akavurin, and Speediness is coming through. Trust in August is the leader, 150 to go from Speediness, Akavurin, and then Desert Journey. Trust in August, he's getting tight. Speediness getting up on the inside. Trust in August hanging on. Courageous again. Wins from Speediness. Desert Journey third, probably, from Akavurin, Rhythm to Spare, and Bull Point. Then Escato, Solicit, followed by Guest of Honour, Commanding Jewel. Back behind them is Late Charge, Tristram Sun, Recite Never in an Arabian Jewel towards the tail in company with Atlante.
What a star. What an absolute star. He's a winner. That's 10 wins, and Trust in August goes back-to-back Group 1s. Rupert Clark into a 2-rack handicap. He had the best possible run, and he delivered on the big stage again. I'm sure Brad...
Well, it's like he's just a freak, isn't he? Oh, he's just outstanding, this bloke. And to get on this horse but to get it for Darren Weir, I'm just wrapped, And look, the first thing I thought about
is what a ride. What a great horse to train. Sound, tough, makes his own luck. Perfect sort of horse for what trainers are looking for.
He used to be known as the banner boy for Super Vobis and Vobis Gold, but he's better than that. He's a 2-time Group 1 winner.
Yeah, amazing, Richo. It's great. It's great for everyone involved, all the staff at home. They work hard.
About the colour. And hopefully you're seeing some great pictures on TVN. Brad Rawiller
from Speedy.
What a star he is. Out in 47-2, home in 47. So just all honours to him. There's some great runs in the race, but ridden by Brad Rawiller, trained by Darren.
It's 100-metre.
Chasing Vobis Gold money. Now he's got 2 Group 1s. You can a feeling with him, you can put him at any level and he'd do exactly what he did.
Well, you just keep raising the bar with him and he just keeps standing up. So, yeah, we're looking forward to going towards the Emirates. He's got to be a leading chance.
Got him in the Cox Plate.
Oh, why not? That tactical speed he does have, as we see.
Coming in to join us on race. Urak, he's got fighting qualities, that horse, hasn't he? Trust in August.
He travels keenly, he sprints and he holds them off. He's an iron horse, there's no doubt about it. And I don't think there's too many excuses for the horses behind him. Speediness had his chance, well ridden. Desert Journey runs on. Akavaroon was terrific. He's an underrated horse, Akavaroon.
Here's where you'll see the great qualities of Trust in August. He looked out in his feet here. It's just floating because he got him covered. Because watch Speediness come up on his inside and he goes, oh, well, I'll go on and do it. He was racing away again. I mean, that's a tremendous lift.
Big win. Look, I'm a sucker for Bull Point. I keep tipping him, and I'm going to make an excuse for him again yesterday. He got a pair further back than I would have liked.
About you and Bull Point,
because I just think there's a win in him.
You've sacked horses for far less.
I know, but he got put up the rail there mid-race and just lost his momentum. And I don't think the fence...
We get stuck into the girls for the 1,000 guineas here. I know Rich will be cheering for Lamosti for his good mate Phil Side. So all the punters, because it's the favourite. Look at that crowd out here on the lawn. Darren's mum there, Nolene. Good stuff. Here's Lamosti, favourite, $3 from Go Indigo, A Fleet of Spree, and Bring Me the Maid. Okay, so it's a moving feast of spring here today with horses getting into races, horses dropping out of the Cox Plate. The logjam might not.
Ready, Schweppes 1,000 guineas to the Alfitties, and off they go. And Lamosti, one of the slower ones to move. She goes back there in company with Go Indigo, the favourites together at the end. Sabatini bounced well, but now the speed comes over from the outside. Amicus is going quickly and brings Traviston Girl across with her, and she now goes to the front. Pick and Time settling third and fourth outside of Sabatini. They're followed by Bring Me the Maid, who's settling down in fifth placing over on the outside of A Fleet Esprit. 2 lengths further back is Go Genio, about a length and a half to Tony Girl, and she was followed as or Tony Dancer, and then a length away to Go Indigo. And Lamosti is back last, but they are running it quite solidly. Traviston Girl heading to the 900 metres on the railway side, led by 3 Amicus. 2 lengths away, Pick and Time, a half Sabatini. A length further back on the outside, then came Bring Me the Maid. A Fleet Esprit on the fence. A length and a half then to Go Genio. She's being followed a further 2 lengths back then by Tani Dancer, who's down on the inside from Go Indigo. And 2 behind her is Lamosti, who's 10 at least away from the lead, 600 to go. And Traviston Girl led by 2 Amicus. Pick and Time a length away. Sabatini the rail, and they're followed then by Bring Me the Maid, who's poised for her run ahead of Go Genio. Go Indigo peeling to the outside. A Fleet Esprit waiting for the inside runs. Tani Dancer still second last, and Lamosti last when they corner. Traviston Girl in front by a length. Down the outside now comes Amicus. Sabatini's running on. Then Bring Me the Maid, followed further back then by down the outside is Go Indigo and Lamosti. Amicus hit the front with 100 to go. Sabatini after Amicus. Amicus just in front. Amicus holding on, and she's won it. Amicus is first. Traviston Girl kicks to get second. A photo third between Bring Me the Maid and also Sabatini. Followed further back then by Tani Dancer. Then Go Indigo, Go Genio. Back behind those.
Well, been a frustrating day. Huey Bowman seconds in the previous 2 Group 1 races on the card. He gets one here. That was pretty straightforward work, wasn't it, for Amicus? Charge out of the barriers. Let Traviston Girl go. Let all
on her back in the autumn, and straight away I said to Chris, I think she's flight stakes class, you know, the Sydney equivalent to the 1,000 Guineas, and he's brought her to Melbourne and give her a Melbourne prep, and it's paid off. It was a big run the other day.
Both the runs down here have been very good. She hasn't had a lot of luck go away, and won first time down here and had it relegated. And then last start, it was a Group 2 second, and she was very brave, and it was a gem of a ride today. Huey backed himself to go across, which was a risk, and managed to get a switch off so beautifully, and saving that energy from, I guess, the 1,200 to the 800 was the key of that last 50 metres, that's for sure. And you two crack 3-year-old fillies, they'll both be Group 1 winners.
Do you ever get sick of these Group 1s, whether they be in Sydney or in Melbourne? It's good to actually be here when you win one in Melbourne.
No, never get sick of it. It's certainly
One tough filly, Amicus, a $500,000 filly at the sales with a great pedigree, and she gets a valuable Group 1 win for her. Strange race. He's run about 9th.
Yeah, it was a very odd race. You thought the tempo they were going, because they didn't go slowly early, that the leaders would get overhauled late in the race, but she's just so tough, Amicus. And in her lead-up run in the Guineas Prelude, she did exactly that. She just kept boxing on. Fleet Esprit had the better of her over 1,400, but just that step to a mile, she was the tougher filly on the day. I thought Sabatini has done a great job this prep from that Quizette Stakes win right through to this. She's had about 4 or 5 runs and been up and down in trip. Not all's gone right with her this prep. Super effort to get a Group 1 placing. Disappointments, obviously.
2 Group 1 seconds and comes out and wins this, and he didn't make a mistake on any of them. She'd been surprisingly, she was such big odds here. She was beaten on protest first up. She did all the work in the lead up, the prelude lead up, and stuck on well, and just beautifully ridden. And what looked to be an on-speed dominated race. These fillies at the back didn't come into it at all. So
some very negative rides back on.
Yeah,
very negative
Group
rides.
1 racing. You've got to start judging the speed of these races.
You just
It's opened up $1.70 on Super Tab, number 3, Rich Enough. $1.90 New South Wales. Bookmakers
The Berry with Almalad.
Tommy Berry, Almalad, how did he come around to the start?
Indications to their thoughts and clear thoughts when so much must be running through their minds. Thanks for that. Big market. Have a look. They're still pouring this on for Rich Enough. It was 270 early in the week. You thought, well, it could.
Ready to get racing in the Guineas. And Rich Enough jumps pretty well over towards the outside. Zebulon and Zululand away quickly, shooting to win, and Moon Over Manhattan are all up there in the early part. And Elmalad's trapped out wide, and he's about the middle of the field. Now, Rich Enough does his work. He gets over, and the favourite finds the lead as he goes to the top of the hill. So it's Rich Enough by a length. Coming over, Elmalad gets into second spot, 3/4 away now. Then a length and a half, Moon Over Manhattan. Stingray's fourth the outside. 1.5 further back is Zebulon down on the inside, followed by looks like the Cat out wide and shooting to win in the middle. Then there's a length and a half, Lucky Tom on the outside of Zululand. 2 lengths in front of Kamayon. They're followed by Miriam and then Wanjana, who's back second last, and Chivalry last of all. 7.50 to go. And Rich Enough by a half. Elmalad, a length and a half. Moon Over Manhattan. Looks like the Cat having a hard run out wide. He's gone up to fourth, and then Stingray shooting to win, followed by Zebulon. A length further back to Mayon and Lucky Tom. Zululand nowhere to go as Merion took off, and then Wandjina and Chivalry will be last as they sweep towards the turn. Rich Enough is now being pressured well before the bend by Elmalad. The pressure's right on here as they swing. Shooting to win, poised the outside. Moon Over Manhattan is next, and then looks like the Cat. Rich Enough, he sprinted to the top of the straight. He leads by a length, coming home well, shooting to win. Inside the 200, it's Rich Enough by a half, shooting to win, coming at him. They look like fighting it out, shooting to win on the outside, and Rich Enough, shooting to win's put his head in front. Camayon's flying home with Wandjina, but shooting to win just in front, and he's got it. By a head to Rich Enough. A photo third between Wandjina and Camayon. A break further back in the field, then came Chivalry and Merion, followed back behind those to finish by Moon Over Manhattan, Zululand, and then Elmalad, followed by Lucky Tom. Looks like the Cat had a hard run. Zebulon towards the end, and Stingray.
It feels like an anticlimax, but it's not. Shooting to Win proves himself the best 3-year-old on Caulfield Guineas Day as he upsets the fairy tale story of Rich Enough, fair and square. Heavily backed into a to win, and Peter and Paul Snowden in their own right. Of course, they won it with Helmet and Long John in recent years for Daly/Godolphin. Today, in their new role as father and son training combo, they knock off Kenny Keys and get the...
He's unbelievable. His turn of foot is incredible, and I'm pretty speechless. So it's one race I've always wanted to win, so it's incredible.
It's terrific for Peter.
You came here with a real air of confidence. They didn't let you down.
Yeah, we did. We really sort of trust his ability, and we shone through today. Thank God.
He was terrific up on the inside at Sydney last start. He came here, good speed on. Take us through the run. Were you confident in the run?
Yeah, I was. He really got into a great spot. James was aggressive early, which he needs to be. He can be on the back foot sometimes when he's jumped and missed it, but put him into a lovely spot. He relaxes. That's his best part about him. You can sort of use him and back off, and that's what he did. And that's to tough it out like that. It's fantastic.
Joe, Ken, beaten but not. You got to take it on the chin, and he ran as well as he could.
Oh, he ran super, Bruce. He had no peace. I have no doubt we would a better chaser. But look, that's where we landed. That's what we copped. That's what you got to put up. It's Group 1. I can't win one.
So no excuses for you?
Oh, none at all. None at all. Been half a length. I'm not really sure, but it's a bit hard to be too disappointed with him. So, we'll restock and he'll be right.
I think the
To win $160,000 well-bred Northern Meteor, who gets a value by just moving the decimal point to where the 160,000 got to. But the tail of the tape will tell how good Rich Enough went. 14.8 lengths quicker than the standard for the first 800 there, and brave to the finish. But that's what did happen. What did happen was the James McDonald.
There's no such thing as a certainty in this racing game.
It was fantastic, your horse, and the race set up beautifully for you. 3 wide cover, horse takes you into the race, but Rich Enough gave you something which he wasn't entitled to.
Yeah, it was very hard to run him down. Obviously, I thought I was going to win by a length or even a bit more at some stage of the race, but full credit to the second horse. He fought gamely and made it very tough for him.
James, did you feel like you were going, although you pick up the steward's vision, this part of the race was critical as well, because you managed to just come across there and sit outside Moon Over Manhattan and take up that coveted sort of box seat position?
Yeah, for sure. I was actually quite surprised. I thought he is a top class horse. You'd probably ask any jockey who's sat on him previously. The feel he gives the jockey at the time is unbelievable. He feels top class, and he looks a top class racehorse. He's very furnished. He's big, strong, got a lot of physique about him, and autumn.
Penny Keys last week will be chasing Trevor and Penny this week with this horse.
Yeah, no doubt, and I wouldn't have thought much interest would drop off from Rich Enough either. As you said, just so brave in defeat. Looking back on that steward's foot.
Said that if his horse had relaxed at any stage, Rich Enough, he would have won the race. Just thinking, Richard, analysing the race, those that were on the speed, apart from Rich Enough, finished 8th, 10th, 12th, 13th and 14th, and there was him fighting it out at the finish. He was brave in defeat, wasn't he, Rich Enough?
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure our punters feel for that. Terrific. I know what you're saying. It was outstanding, and he probably should have won the race if he does fiddle, but that's part of racing. What about one G?
When he was coming off a win in the Stan Fox Stakes in Sydney, Peter Snowden's third Caulfield Guineas in 4 years. He also won it with Helmet and Long John. And
show you plenty at home.
Yeah, Ronnie, you were one of the first ones I tipped that to. I told you how good he was, but he just wasn't bringing that A game to the races. And I think we've seen a glimpse of it in the Stan Fox. He did most things right, but yesterday he was given a 20 out of 10 ride by James McDonald. Absolutely brilliant. But in saying that, he was so confident. He rode his work on Tuesday, and he rang me on Thursday after one got beat, and he was disappointed about how he rode it, but he was giggling about this horse's chances on Saturday. He said, I really think he can win, and things pan out for us. It's a race he always wanted to win, and we're probably a bit more seasoned than what this bloke is, and but this horse taking cluster back down again for the Darleys.
What did you think of Rich Enough, Pete? He was the hot favourite going into the race.
Tremendous run, and I said earlier in the week, if I can't win, I hope Kenny wins, because it's just been a fairy tale story, and this is a very, very tough horse. And even in the run, I was so confident watching our horse. I thought, he's got this horse covered, but it took him forever to get past him. He fought and fought and fought. So it just shows just how tough and how courageous his run was. But we were lucky enough we're getting the bob in the last bit.
Okay. What else, Ron?
Well, you've said it all. The winner's so underrated. We know how good he is now. He's put all these good runs together, and he beat the king of the castle there, Rich Enough, who was gallant in defeat. There's no doubt about it. He was just out on his feet at the end of a testing mile. Wandjina, geez, Dave's brought him from a 900-metre squib to running third in the Caulfield Guineas. He was backing up 3 weeks in a row. And that horse Camoan, I reckon he could be the Derby horse. I don't,
That might sound a little complicated, but I think people know what I mean there. I still think Rich Enough's a very, very good horse.
I don't think anyone doubts that.
Yeah.
But just a special mention to
The Mowat and Shandon Spring Champion Stakes. The Group 1 race for the 3-year-olds over the 2,000 metres. Some really smart 3-year-olds lining up here. First Seal, Swainus, Panzer Division. When we go towards our mounting yard preview now, and we start with horse number 1. It is Swan.
And they're off now. And First Seal jumped out very well in the centre. Panzer Division came out running on the outside, and he's going to ride it aggressively to try and get across and take up the running. So Panzer Division working over towards the rails in front. Leads from Press Report. Valentia's out a little bit deep, followed by First Seal and then Swainess. Puna further back behind them. Lie Direct got a check there. Hampton Court's in front of it. And Drumrolls are clear last as they go to the back. 1,500 by Press Report in third spot, and First Seal, the favourite, is running fourth. And then came Puna, followed by Swainess, and then at the head of the others, Lie Direct from Hampton Court, and last of all, Drumroll. They go to the High Street side, 800 out, and Panzer Division drops a neck in front. He leads by about a half a length on Valentia, Press Report and First Seal, followed by Puna. Swainess still in midfield, still tracking First Seal, are just starting to be niggled at this point. Further back behind them, Lie Direct and Hampton Court, and back last of all is Drumroll. It's Panzer Division trying to run them into the ground here, coming to the home turn. First Seal's under the whip, and Swainess is about to move up and join it. They turn for home, and the leader, Panzer Division, Swainess, has ambled up on the outside with First Seal. They come together, and then came Press Report. First Seal on the inside is responding. Swainess on the outside, and they're clear from Hampton Court, who's running on. First Seal and Swainess. Hampton Court is starting to gobble them up on the outside, though. Hampton Court's hit the front with 100 metres to go, and Hampton Court's run away and beaten First Seal and Swainess. I think they only had eyes for each other, those two. Then came Press Report, followed by Panzer Division. Then at the head of the others, Drumroll, Leidebeck, Puna, and Valentia finished last of all.
A big upset here in Sydney in the Mowat and Shandon Spring Champion Stakes. Number 4, Hampton Court. He won the Dulcify last week. He wins the Group 1 here today. And Josh Parr, you talk about exhilaration. Have a look.
Sublime there.
Well, isn't it funny? There's a horse that couldn't win a race until last week, and everyone was pulling on his tail. Even the owners had lost sort of heart. But once he was able to sort of mature, Jason, and really get into his, I suppose, mature, he was able to all of a sudden find his feet. He won the Dulcify last week. I backed him up this week in the Spring Champion. Now he's bought his ticket to Melbourne.
It was the 5. Now, 2 minutes, 0.3. Does that quicker? Then I've got to go back because it might be it might have just upset the apple cart, and it has.
And Swainess, I think they only had eyes for each other, those two.
Favourite for the Victoria Derby now, of course, beaten as Mark Sheen well knows at Newcastle 2 runs ago. And a patient right
when he was needed.
Did it surprise you early, Josh, how quick the speed was?
Yeah, certainly, Richard. They did go very quick. I did myself and the stable plan on being probably in the first 4 or 5 of the field.
Yeah, you didn't think you'd be second last,
No,
did you?
that's right. Yeah, we went.
I think both the favourites were probably a pair or 2 lengths too close.
Well, I think Blake riding first Sue last week and seeing the way she accelerated, him being on the back of her last week, he's probably thinking, well, I don't want to give this too much start because I won't be able to run her down. But like she was a spent 600 out, and to keep fighting on to run second, unbelievable in my opinion.
Josh's horse just too big, too.
Great effort. Got a 7-8 back up and was made to do a fair bit of work there by Sweyness early on, and even mid-race the tempo felt to be quite a decent clip, and obviously set it up for Hampton Court there, but it's my Phillies credit. That was a pretty tough performance there late to
coming to the 600.
By last week for Joe Moreira. Josh Parr got on board on Saturday to win the Group 1. Now, Ron and Richard, this was supposed to be the big match race between the good filly First Seal and the unbeaten colt Sweyness. But look, how often does that happen? You promote a race as a match in 2 and something gets up and beats them both.
Well, it was a match race, but they only had, I think as Mark Sheen says, they only had eyes for each other, and that backfired on them because Blake, he fired this horse out the barrier, Sweyness, and he was aggressive and made First Seal work to get into the 1-1. Which I thought was a great move by Blake. And then she looked out on her feet at the 700, so Blake made a move. And then they've singled out here. They've at each other from the 800 and early on in the race as well. And they're a sitting shot for the patient Josh Parr out the back here on a really tough horse in Hampton Court. And he goes past 2 very tired horses late. First Seal is a star filly in the autumn, believe me.
Yep. I couldn't agree more.
I'm forgiving for Sweyness because he was ridden the first time he's been ridden out of his zone.
Yep.
He was bustled early. And he's got a few influential owners there. I think James Packer. Geez, the sling will be all right. Josh Parr might get a South Guernsey or something, huh?
He's favourite for the Victoria Derby.
Still raced away from them. It was a terrific win at the Valley. Ran 1:11.6. Look, Tudor was quicker. I mentioned that. Second, Tani Dancer, quite good in a Group 1 Saturday. Third, Tortine, good behind Earthquake. Prior to that, she's angelic like Lankan Rupee form. She can win.
And 8, Sultry Feeling. Well, busy 2-year-old year. The feature, the Blue Sapphire.
So Loping's at 260 and favourite. Longer odds on course. They're off. Loping one of the first to break the line. Tudor began fast on the inside of her. And also showing some speed, Sultry Feeling over on the outside, followed by Burning Passion, who'll settle fourth on the inside. It's a Loping going to the lead, but Tudor's making a work for it, and he's retaining the fence 3/4 away. Sultry Feeling a length off third, a length and a half, Burning Passion, followed by Sapido. At the 800, there's 2 lengths away, then to Husson Eagle getting up along the inside, and Nicosine down the side and Loping the leader. She hasn't been able to cross over. Tudor retaining the fence and a neck away on the outside then is in third placing Sultry Feeling ahead of Sapido, working into the race nicely as they came to the home turn, and then getting up on the inside there was Burning Passion, but he ran onto the heels of Tudor, who's dropped out quickly, so it's a Loping left clear coming around the home turn from now. Sapido pulled to the outside. Sultry Feelings boxing on in the centre. And down the outside was Nicosine. It's a Loping in front at the 200 metres, but she's gassed. And down the outside comes Sapido, and Nicosine's joining in. And Husson Eagle's getting up on the inside, but a Loping just keeps digging in. This is brave. And it's a Loping who'll go all the way and score by 2 lengths, Sultry Feeling. And Husson Eagle's got third. Close for fourth, Nicosine outside or Tudor. And then Sapido, who didn't quite go on, and last to finish is Burning Passion.
Oh, how good's that? Road to beat her, and she out-toughs them all. She's one tough little girl, Loping. And you can see what Craig Williams was doing there. He just kept making it competitive in the Coolmore, wouldn't she, Craig?
Oh, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
For the main sprint of the day, the City Tats Lightning Stakes. It's a good race coming up. And, well, is this the horse they've all come to see? Maybe. His name is Deepfield. He's a dominant favourite for the race, but some handy horses here to take him on. We start with Roll. He's just cruising around the yard here. He's 3 for 3.
And look, he's on the limit weight. He drops 4 kilos.
It's Club Lightning for 2014.
Round Weck stalls are back and racing, and Deep Field jumped away beautifully with Kinsella on the outside. Barb not too far away. That's a good idea. The inside from Shamalia. Last of all, it's comfortable for Deep Field. 600 metres to go by a length to Barb. That's a good idea on the inside of Kinsella, followed by Shamalia. Wouldn't it be nice? About 5 off the lead, and Aeronautical is at the back. Into the straight. Deep Field from Barb. That's a good idea. Kinsella. Shamalia in 5. Wouldn't it be nice to the outside from Aeronautical? Deep Field under a hold. They top the rise. It leads by a length to Barb. That's a good idea. Shamalia down the outside. Deep Field, he hasn't moved. 150 metres to go now. He does. 2 lengths. That's a good idea. Shamalia, Barb. But Deep Field is coming away explosive again. A big winner. Deep Field by 2.5. That's a good idea. Shamalia, Barbed, Aeronautical, Kinsella. Wouldn't it be nice last in 103.39? Wow.
That's what they came to see, and he didn't disappoint. He makes it 4 from 4. We've seen 2 very serious.
That's what we get up every morning for when you're a kid at 15, 16 years old. To ride horses like him, yeah, it's a big thrill, Rich.
You just travelled sweet.
Wow. Pretty good, Rich.
Yeah, very good. And the sectionals were very good on the way that the track was playing. 33.65 was a very good last 600. Brent Abdallah, I think that these type of horses, particularly when they're a class above them, although they get races run to suit, you're better off asking the jockey what he felt. And like Brent was just, he said, you can feel it under you when you get a good horse. And he was just so excited how it left.
If he didn't end up in a race in Melbourne on the strength of that performance.
Valley Classic.
Well, would they take on Chautauqua? I'm not quite sure. That's the.
Would it be the deep end? Would it be the deep end?
I don't think, at this stage, I don't think it's got a hope of beating Chautauqua.
Okay. I wouldn't mind owning the mare, though. Listen here.
Yeah. Oh,
shooting to win, Deep Field.
About Northern Meteor. Oh. It'll lose your head when a horse like this comes along, but so far he's living up to the hype.
Well, it's the aura. It's the aura of the unbeaten horse. What has he done? He's put 4 wins together, 4 brilliant wins. He takes on.
He's broken a track record.
Yeah, he's broken it. That's right. He's broken a course record at Canterbury. He's put margins in the opposition. What I liked about him yesterday. And this is the first time I've laid eyes on him, to tell you the truth. I love the way that he come back underneath Brent Abdallah. I thought he might have been just one of these fierce-going sprinters. But when they left him alone, he come back underneath Abdallah and just bowed the head there. And that's what I like to see, good horses being able to relax no matter what distance they're in. And look, this is a good win without wowing about it. It was He was left alone. He sprinted home. He did his stuff. 33.6 the last 600. They had no hope of beating him anyway from the time they left him alone. But a very good horse in the making. And I see all the
Caulfield Guineas. Look, I agree entirely with what you've just said. That win didn't add any more to the boom. The boom was just as big before that win. And I don't think that win added a great deal to it because it was handed up to him. He did what he has been doing.
And we're not knocking the horse.
No, he just didn't do any more than he's been doing in that race.
He's a good horse.
Yeah,
and potentially a very good horse.
Indeed he is. And they'll...
Fantastic. Terrific venue.
The offer somewhere near his best.
10 minutes away from the first running of the Caulfield Classic with the increased prize money, the old Norman Robinson, 750,000. And here's your market. And the favourite is Well Tried here, Kamei on 460 into 420. Merry on at $5, ridden forward, Crafty at $6, and there's your market shifts there. And I can tell you that Sam Highland's picking
up. Run. This is the Racing.com Caulfield Classic. Crafty standing. And Kamei a bit slow to move from his stall. He has to be really bustled along to try and stay with them in the early part. And Magical began fast, and so did Merion going forward as notified. Fontaine Ruby on the move round the outside, and War Point's up there also. Just off them as they settle into stride then is Home Run Hero, but it's Merion who has taken up the running now, and he's out in front of Fontaine Ruby on a deep run to get to second, and a length away is War Point settling third. Magical just behind them as Hawking improves and gets up on the outside into 4th placing. They're followed then by Light Up Manhattan. 2 lengths further back, Home Run Hero. Firehouse is put behind the fence as they race down the side. Cuban Fighter is last of all. 10 or 11 lengths is covering them. And it's Merion running up towards the turn in front. Fontaine Ruby a neck away second, followed by War Point and Hawking together. And then Light Up Manhattan. Pull to the outside. Firehouse, Rock Magical being dictated to. He hasn't got a run. And then Crafty as they swing around the home turn. And Just Away's putting in a burst into the straight now. And Fontaine Ruby claims Wind Marion. On the outside is Hawking and Firehouse Rockers coming. And Light Up Manhattan balked for a bit of room. Crafty coming home and then Magic Cool. Firehouse Rock swept up and went to the lead now. Ahead of Fontaine Ruby. Crafty laying in top of Magic Cool. Firehouse Rock just the leader to Fontaine Ruby, and Crafty's coming now with about 50 metres to go. Fontaine Ruby in front of Crafty. The fillies fight it out, and Fontaine Ruby a nick to Crafty. About 3/4 Firehouse Rock is third. Light Up Manhattan is fourth. Then came Magical Backman, followed further back by Cuban Fighter making some late ground, and then
Wow, what a big payday here for Robert Smurden, and especially the connections of this little girl, Fontaine Ruby, a Turf Fontaine en route to the Derby. She cost 50,000 and she wins 450.
Great result for Robert Smurden. Great result for the big team of owners who race Fontaine Ruby. They've had some dramas in her racing life. $50,000 purchase. She picked up 450,000 yesterday to go with the 250,000 she already won. They had her down. They had her gone, and she was gone. She lifts, and that's her. She is tough. Crafty's on song for the Oaks. Robert Smurden with a strong hand with Lamosty to come as well here. Firehouse Rock may have got there a bit too soon, but certainly got to the front. But you can't deny her.
Winner was the best. She was gone for all money when Firehouse went
purple. Now, we go forward here, and we'll see what transpires. Bowman comes up outside of Magic Cool. Now, Boss keen to stay one and a half off the fence here. Bowman's outside him now, and this goes on for about 200 metres as he forces him down to the fence. And that is what stewards deem improper riding.
That's what your point was before, Rich, about what's the difference going inside and out. You can see in that replay clearly the rail's there, and that's the only place Boss has to go. So he's very limited room and restricted room, whereas with the other ones, if they're coming out, I guess the school of thought might be that there's clear running that they can move out.
Well, what we've got off there now, I think it's under the wrong rule. It shouldn't be under improper riding, which is a very serious charge. What I'm saying is the rule's under the wrong. It's not improper riding.
Well, it's found to be improper. He got an 8 meeting discount because of the time of the year he's going to miss. Bowman to appeal, but he got 28 is a penalty imposed by Racing Victoria. Full stop. That's where on that charge. That's where it starts. And after
that's where it's wrong. I'm not having a qualm that we see Huey pushing.
With Manifold Stakes at a previous start, and Crafty had run third in that race, and they're both trained by Robert Smurden, who's joining.
Those two from yesterday are Lamosty. We'll get through next week before we make a longer term decision on her. I'm not convinced that she'd be suited at the trip. Yeah, just looking at her pedigree and her as physical type.
Guys, here's just before we go on with Rob, is the second favourite there. Maastricht is out of the rest of the Melbourne Spring. John Hawkes
in second here.
We're seeing the other race here. From a Derby point of view, I don't know. I don't know that there's a Derby horse in here, but I don't know where the other ones are coming from. The Derby are much harder race than the Oaks. I think I can pick the right fillies in the Oaks, but I'm not sure about the Derby yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but Hampton Court's the fresh horse on the scene. I thought Backman was okay in that race. He got hampered at a...
We're up to the Mungar Stakes, the Sporting Bet Mungar Stakes here. And let's have a look at the betting. Again, it's a wide mark. Libaz is your favourite at $5.50 out from $4.60. On General Life.
Set to racing. Final Crescendo jump well. Admirer Azuma a little bit slow to move. He doesn't muster. He goes back just beyond midfield now. And Limes bounced out and had the lead ahead of Final Crescendo. Up there too is Ryzan. He's on the speed with Flamberge, and Riverlad's coming over but working wide. Followed 2 lengths to Riker, and then came Manamanui between runners, and down on the inside about a half a length away Libas. There they race up the side past the 800. Limes in front of half to Flamberge. Riverlad's out 3 wide, and right behind them Final Crescendo, a neck to Ryzan. A length and a half to Riker, about 4 lengths away from the lead, and then Libas needing a bit of luck from the rails, and then Manawanui being followed by Lucky Hustler. General Ife in the white cap niggled at. Admire and Azuma a long way back. So is Under the Leuven, Mutual Trust and Smoke and Joey. Limes is coming around the home turn. He's going to be the leader for the judge from Flamberge and Riverlad, who's done it tough. Final Crescendo behind them, and then Riker. Here comes Lucky Hustler. He's starting to finish off well, and General Ife is coming with him. Limes in front below the 200, but not for long. Lucky Hustler claims him. Smoke and Joey's coming home. Under the Leuven's coming home also, but it's Lucky Hustler who's clear, and he's done today with the blinkers back on. Lucky Hustler won it by 3 lengths to Under the Loop. General Lee for third. Close fourth, maybe Manawanui down on the inside from Smoke and Joey. Then came Lee Baz. He was followed further back in the field by Flam.
I reckon he'll get in well on the weights, and
You know, all his runs since he's been with us have been good. And
for third.
There's Lucky Hustler, the blinkers on yesterday, and getting victory for Darren Weir down from Queensland. Turning it Renee's horse in the Admire Ackley colours out the back there. It was just untested to the line, but blinkers.
Scholar thought that the horse had been a bit stale in Blinker's last preparation, and that's the reason why we haven't seen them be produced yet with this horse. He'd been flashing the line and obviously
the loop, but he obviously pulled up when he hit the front there last start because Darren put the blinkers on him here, and boy, oh boy, did he react and react big time. So Lucky Hustler, a scintillating win there, and under the.
Let's get to the yard here for race number 6. Sorry, the Schweppes Tristark Stakes for the girls, and it's 3.50 the field. Sweet Idea favourite for Gay Waterhouse as we have a look at them.
Yeah, it's sweet. And Diamond Drill got a very good getaway, will drift back, and Girl Guide away fast with Sweet Idea driving through. She goes to the lead early ahead of Catkins, and Girl Guide third with NQR and Diamond Drill next. A length and a half down the side, and Sweet Idea quite controlling this, led by a length to NQR. A length and a half to the grey Catkins, and then Diamond Drill, Girl Guide. 2 lengths away, Chiquata Politeness, 7 away from the leader. And then May's Dream Girl in flight, and Mini Downs. Sweet Idea's been given a sweet ride coming towards the turn, led from NQR. Catkins has eased off the rail, she's poised. Diamond Drill's got up on the fence, and then Girl Guide and Politeness will swing wide. Sweet Idea stays on the inside, she leads. She's a length and a half now to Catkins. NQR and Girl Guide on the outside. Politeness was struggling, and it's Sweet Idea, the leader. She's all out there. She's a length and a half clear to Catkins and Girl Guide and Diamond Drill. Sweet Idea, she's running on empty. Girl Guide's coming at her, but Sweet Idea, she's too good. Sweet Idea beat Girl Guide by a length. A photo third, Catkins or May's Dream. Politeness just battled away, followed then by Girl in Flight, who got home, and then Mini Downs, Diamond Drill, and just
the First Lady of Racing in Gay Waterhouse. What an absolute beauty.
The connections. $2 million earner wins the Tristark, beating Girl Guide Catkins. And our little side bet team here, Shark, continue to just finish alongside each other, Rich.
Yeah, I thought May Dream was terrific, wasn't she? Politeness didn't have any zip. On the turn, I honestly thought Catkins had just all over.
Yeah.
He didn't find the line as well. I know she's held on for third, and she's one of my favourites, Catkins, but she didn't find the line last start when Arabian Gold ran it. Well, hang on, there's nothing there to find. Got to give the winner credit, though.
Oh, outstanding.
She looked gone that many times. She's a tough girl. She just keeps...
It's all over. She's an absolute ripper. Look, Girl Guide is just so genuine. She ran well. Catkins was okay. Politeness was good. Just in a race not run to suit most of these mares, and she was... She just took the race by the scruff of the neck, and a fantastic mare she is.
Weight was tough on her, and she finished off well as well. Catkins, I reckon her Group 1, if she's going to win one, and that's doubtful, will come on a wet track. I don't think she can mix it on the dry.
She's not really
They're identical form pattern. Unpretentious comes through better races. If he can't fight...
Thermal Current brilliantly away on the outside. Away okay, Sharmal Wind and the red colours. I'm All the Talkers rushing through to go to the lead now. They've followed Miracles of Life. Pago Rocks right up there. Sharmal Wind not getting too far back, and the red, she's settling about 5th on the outside. Followed by Facile Tigra, and also Big Money's in that bunch ahead of Unpretentious, pushing up between horses. They're about 2 lengths to Dreefontein. Whitlam well back on the inside there as they race up by the 600 metre mark, and back towards the end of the field is Feel and Ready as they sweep up towards the turn. And it's I'm All the Talk, the leader from Miracles of Life on the inside, and Thermal Current going up to make a line of 3. A length and a half to Pago Rock, being followed then down the inside by Facile Tigra, and then Sharmal Wind into the straight now, and it's Thermal Current moving up on the outside. Miracles of Life giving a kick down on the inside as they go to the 200 metres. There in front of I'm All the Talk, and then Sharmal Wind and Big Money coming. Little Miracles of Life is still the leader. Thermal Current can't get there. Here's Sharmal Wind. She's flying home. Sharmal Wind. Miracles of Life. Bell Sprinter dives 3. Oh, I think Miracles of Life might have fallen in from Bell Sprinter and Sharmal Wind. Big Money will be 4th. Treefontein does her best work at the end of the race, followed then by Thermal Current, who just wilted on the race.
Let's wait for the print. Let's wait for the print here. Greg's called Miracles of Life. Bell Sprinter's charged and put his head down virtually on the line. Has he got it? We're not sure. We're waiting on our print. Thermal Current, Sharmal Wind. What a busy finish. It's Brave in front here. Miracles of Life. Bell Sprinter is diving late. Who's going to get dead heat?
That is a dead heat.
If that's split,
I can't get any closer.
If this is split, and there's a much better vision of it, and they do have obviously the dead heat. It's been called a dead heat here, Richo.
Cubone, very good horses. Anyone to give their right left arm to get one of those. So we're very privileged to be able to give the opportunity, and the amount of horse we've had, no, we're rapt to have them.
When will we see Barbie again?
Bell Sprinter and, of course, Miracles of Life. Good stories in both of them returning yesterday, sharing the victory in the Caulfield Sprint. Shamal Wynn just missing out again there. I think Bell Sprinter was fantastic there. Obviously, Miracles of Life on speed. Good to see her back. Good competitive race.
As Jason Warren said after the race, just couldn't get to the outside on Bell Sprinter, and that probably would have been the difference to an outright victory. But a fitting result, as you say, Bruce. Miracles of Life, a great story around Barbie, as we all know, back to Caulfield, where she's won a Blue Diamond as a 2-year-old. Outstanding effort by the mare.
Yeah, you wouldn't have given a cracker for him, but he got going late. Now, he had a perfect record first up until his last two preparations, where he blotted his copybook pretty badly first up, and people had forgotten what a good first up horse he is. But first up again yesterday, he's produced the goods, and, you've got to talk about both of them. They dead heated. They were both tremendous runs. Look, they're probably on the B level of sprinters, but they're still very, very good horses to their stables, and great to see.
Yellow Button, Noble Protector. Here's the two. Contributor. Here's an import, and looks of talent.
Formerly trained by Ed Dunlop over there in the UK, was on. And do your homework on these horses before they arrive here in Australia and get to know them before they have their first run. But Noble Protector,
Contributor. David Jones Cup, and they're away and racing now. Noble Protector began just a little bit slow, and Contributor's one of the last to move. Commanding Time first out. Now Noble Protector quickly getting up a position on the speed. Splitting runners with Jacquino Bay on the outside, and Contributor in the Godolphin Blue settled down fourth, followed by Honorius a little bit deep there. 2 lengths to Pinstripe Lane, 1 to Sign Off the inside of Kingdoms. Last as they make their way by the 800 metres. Jacquino Bay just over a length in front of the heavily tried Noble Protector. With in the saddle there, Craig Williams just giving her a bit of a nurse coming up towards the turn. Back on the inside, Commanding Time. Taking off as Pinstripe Lane. They've slowed the tempo down before the home turn, and Honorius is putting in a run as well. Sign Off trying to get away from the fence, and then Contributor up towards the bend. Jacquino Bay joined again on the outside by Noble Protector, and Honorius with Contributor continuing to come on down the outside as they swing in. Next was Sign Off. So it's Jacquino Bay, Noble Protector, and Contributor coming on 3 wide ahead of Honorius. They come past the 200-metre mark now, and Contributor goes away from Noble Protector. Jacquino Bay, Honorius and Sign Off. Contributor striding along strongly, a length and a half in front of Noble Protector, and Contributor too good. Won it by 3/4 to Noble Protector. Sign Off will get up for third, I'd say, from Honorius and Jacquino Bay. Next in is Kingdoms, Commanding Time, Midsummer's.
Too classy here. The imported Gallopers. Contributor now, of course, in the Australian Godolphin stable of John O'Shea, outstays Noble Protector, who was controlling with Jacquino.
We can live in hope.
Good luck to you. Thanks, Henry.
Thank you.
Henry Plumpters go to John O'Shea. Richo?
Yeah.
Off to the McKinnon Stakes next. No Protector, very good. Sign Off. Nice run for the Lexus, I would have thought there. Pleasing. Needs to win the Lexus and get into the Caulfield Cup.
First two home of the new blood, obviously being new imports that are going to be based here in Australia. Tempo probably helped contribute a little bit. He had the sharper turn of foot, and he's a true 2,000-metre horse on his European form. The Ascot win with Ed Dunlop was absolutely awesome. You could see why Godolphin chased him and wanted to buy him. Perfectly suited in Australia. The 6 sprint just didn't help Noble Protector. All her forms at 1.5 miles. She probably needed to get going into the race a little bit.
The 2,000 metres. Contributor. He was a Royal Ascot winner earlier this year. He won the Wolverhampton Handicap over 2,000 metres. And Henry Plumtree is joining us from Caulfield.
He did look very, very good, and looks a progressive sort of a horse. There was a bit of a wrap going on him going into the race, and I think a bigger one coming out of it. Look, the second filly was good too, the other import, the filly.
Remember.
Welcome back here, isn't it? I'm not sure what it says, but I like it. I'm liking what he's putting out here today. This is a very good Japanese stayer, this one. At his best 2,400-metre run, he was fourth, beaten a length to Gentle Donna, who is a global superstar. That was in a Japan Cup last year. He beat home Dunedin in that race, who we've seen win a Caulfield Cup. Top weights recently have won this race include Northerly Viewed and Dunedin. He's better at Flemington at 2 miles, but he can win this.
He's won a Melbourne. Is he going well enough, Sharky? He's second up here today.
Caulfield. It is the Cup, the Caulfield Cup for 2014. And they, as you can see, are in the yard. And that is the offer. There was a bit of a cloud over it, but stewards passed the offer fit. A number of horses missed the cup today through lameness, but the offer is fit. There is Admire Rakti, the Japanese galloper, Zach Purton on board.
Yeah, currently on track. It is at the $12 quote out from 11. So obviously it won't be too fractious today. It's used to these big crowds in Japan.
Yeah, well, Rising Romance beater in the ATC Oaks and has been sneaking through some good races in Sydney to get here.
Absolutely purposeful preparation just to peak in this race. We've seen her fine down and look fitter with each run. She looks absolutely spot on for this Caulfield Cup today. She was on speed and forced to take over.
Running, I think she'll be very competitive. It's a Caulfield Cup, a lot of things can happen, but I feel she's in good order and I think she'll race well.
We'll let you get a vantage point.
A wonderful race this has been for so many years. So many champions have won it. One of my earliest memories of the Caulfield Cup is that...
To be in down there at the 2,400 metre mark here. We'll be back for the Caulfield Cup next. Well, let's go to Greg Miles for the 2014 Crown Gold now Caulfield Cup.
They're ready. Hawkesbury shifting around, so is Lucia Valentina. They're off. Lucia Valentina jumps well from a middle stall. Who Shot the Barman away quickly and also showing speed, Rising Romance. Up there too, Ladari. Seismos being bustled along to try and hold his place. But as they settle down and run towards the judge, Rising Romance crossed them and led. And he's in front with Brambles taking on now. And Who Shot the Barman over racing on the outside. So they make the turn out of the straight now. Brambles has the lead. Moving up wide on the course is Sea Moon. He goes to second and Rising Romance tucked in for a trail, followed by Who Shot the Barman. A length and a half to Seismos on the inside with Ladari and Janoob out wider. One further back is Stipulate. Hawkesbury's deep out, going forward too, followed by Green Moon Moriarty. A length and a half away came Renew Admire Rakti, and then came Unchain My Heart, followed by Areldo, Lucia Valentina, who's well back over on the outside, and then came Big Memory. And the offer is last of all. So it is Sea Moon who leads the Caulfield Cup field, 2 lengths in front of Hawkesbury, who won't settle down. He's gone up into second by the 1,400. A length to Brambles, followed by Janoob on the outside, and then Rising Romance, Who Shot the Barman. A length and a half to Moriarty, Seismos, and then Ladari, about 7 or 8 lengths away from the lead between horses. Admire Rakti next on the outside, followed by Green Moon, and then Stipulate, Lucia Valentina. Back behind them, Unchain My Heart. The offers towards the tail, and so is Renew back there with Areldo, who's dropped out to be last, and Big Memory's about 4th last. They've passed 1,000 metres, and Sea Moon by 2 to Hawkesbury. On the inside, third is Brambles. Janoob a length and a half away, 4th, and then Rising Romance, Who Shot the Barman, and Moriarty. At the 800 metres, they're followed by Seismos. Taking off now is Ladari with his run, and then came Admire Rakti, and behind them is Stipulate as they race down the side. It's Sea Moon, the leader from Hawkesbury, and Brambles. Janoob putting in a run at the 600 metres. Staying to the inside is Rising Romance, and she's getting beautiful rails runs there. And Ladari starting to come into it. And also Green Moon has got through near the inside, but Rising Romance along the rails has taken the lead with Brambles, followed by Hawkesbury. Wider Moriarty and Who Shot the Barman, and Admire Rakti and Lucia Valentina have come extremely wide. Rising Romance down to the 200, led by 2 lengths from Brambles, Hawkesbury, Ladari. Here's Admire Rakti starting to run on, but Rising Romance at the 100 by about a length and a half. Admire Rakti mows her down. Admire Rakti raced up to Rising Romance. They come to the line. Admire Rakti in the last stride beat Rising Romance. A photo third. Lucia Valentina flashed home. I think she might have got it ahead of Brambles, Ladari and Areldo. Hawkesbury, Janoob, followed by Green Moon, Seismos, Big Memory. Who Shot the Barman, followed further back by Renew. Then Stipulate, Moriarty, and Chain My Heart, Sea Moon, and the offer.
Respect the Japanese. Admire Rakti comes back. We haven't seen them for about 7 or 8 years, and they come back and win the Caulfield Cup. They couldn't win in the past. We saw Ipopper, Delta Blues, Pop Rock all run well in it, but the best horse in the race, I'm sure Greg Carpenter's pleased. Sorry about him. 58 kilos. Admire Rakti wins. Rising Romance couldn't have been given a better ride by young James McDonald, and all the work to be done there by Lucia Valentina runs on into third. There's a bit of hard luck story is going to be played out here. There's a roughly run of, well, the tempo made it a roughly run affair, but look at the ground that he saves here, McDonald on Rising Romance. But that excuses, this is the best stayer, the 1.5 miles, and bring on the Melbourne Cup.
He is a beast, Bruce. He's a beast, this boy, Myrak. He's got the pomp on his head. He's got the pomp.
Too strong. He was, Sammy. You know, he only had to look at his run in the Japan Cup to know it was going to be hard to beat today. You know, I was able to get a lovely run in the race. 3 wide with a bit of cover. Japanese horses love that. Just bring with a nice clear run. I knew he was better than him, and it worked out that way.
And that's the thing, you keep them flowing into the race and they just keep building momentum, don't they?
It's the way they train, and it's the way the races run over there. That's what they're used to. So you don't break something that's not broken.
Zach, you're on fire. You won.
My rack, he's paid around $12.80 and $4.40 on the tote. 13 into $11 on track, really well backed. Rising Romance, $12 for a great ride with James McDonald, $3.50, and Lucia Valentina, $4.
Their first Caulfield Cup. And Japan, of course, they haven't been here for 7 years. We saw iPopper Pop Rock and Delta Blues back in 05, 06. And they win it yesterday. Superior staying performance with 58 kilos. Brilliant ride in defeat by James McDonald on Rising Romance. Lucia Valentina, absolutely brilliant. Welcome, Mick Sharkey, as well. Shark, clearly got to say that the race went to the best day on the day.
Bruce, yeah, it sure did. He looked that way on paper, didn't he? And obviously carrying top weight, said that he was the classiest horse in the race, but just absolutely shone through there how strong he was from the 800 metres. I thought Zach rode an absolutely brilliant race, as did the first 3 jockeys over the line. It was just circumstances coming around the corner, I guess, which determined which horse got the best slingshot off that corner.
They were different rides, weren't they, Rich? Because McDonald tried to make something early by negating his alley by going straight across the front of the field to the fence.
Well, we talked about the week before up in the Craven Plate when Moriarty was able to run down Rising Romance, and it was outside the leader, and Donald Logan said, "I don't want to lead." Next thing you know, bang, James makes something happen early. That was the big thing. He had to ride with the tip, but when she began so brilliantly, bang, he took the opportunity. Oh, geez, it was a great ride, wasn't it?
The Rising Romance going to the fence. Now, look inside here in the OTI colours, blue hat, that's Brambles. Now, hunting up inside of it is, this is where we lose Renew. Now, that's going a bit too quick for us, but here's the entire race in helicopter shot. We'll come back and look at this early, but it's a lot of jostling here, Rich, going at the straight the first time, as is always in the Caulfield Cup. They got the liven up before the race, and Terry Bailey said, "Well, I don't know why I'm doing this, and you never listen anyway, but it makes me feel better," and he was right.
Well, look, I've just seen 2 incidents, but we seem to have one rule pushing in and one rule pushing out.
I think he gets left in front soon here, doesn't he, Rising Romance? I think it just opened up so quickly for James. He had to go. He had the weight advantage.
The gap was there, yeah, exactly right. And you could see behind him where Green Moon tried to follow through. The gap was closed. It was there as well. And then all of a sudden, Brambles came across and it was gone for that horse. So it just goes to show you how quick those gaps present and then close on you.
And James was absolutely mystified that a horse was able to run him down, because he said when he kicked on the turn, he said Rising Romance really sprinted quickly. He said he thought he'd done more than enough to get a home in the race. He said it goes to show how strong these Japanese stayers are.
And Richie Kondo, the colourful owner of Admire.
I couldn't believe something ran past me, to be honest with you. Full credit to my horse. The team have done a wonderful job with her, and she wasn't stopping. I honestly could not believe I got beat. Seriously, I was Godsmack. One ran past me.
She had a sweet.
It was, but yeah, unbelievable.
She was very gallant in defeat, Richo, and it was only steady tempo for the first probably 1,000. And then they stepped it up a little bit from halfway, which I was happy enough. I was on the back of the winner. I said to Chris, I was unsure how far the winner was going to take me, so I popped off his back to make my run into the race, and then he sort of flushed me fairly wide. So she was very gallant game. She was hitting the line strong and just didn't get the rub of the green that we needed, given the way that the pace and the tempo worked out.
Well, maybe today, but
if it doesn't, well, then we do lose credibility.
I don't see too many horses going into a Melbourne Cup above 58 kilos. So it'll be.
It actually was handicap 56 yesterday, Rich, just so you understand. It was race were raised 2 kilos.
Yeah, I know, but you've got to get a penalty now. Sure.
Not necessarily. And never argue with the hand. Never argue with the hand.
Rising Romance at the 100 by about a length and a half, and Mairecti mows her down. And Mairecti raced up to Rising Romance. They come to the line. And Mairecti in the last stride beat Rising Romance, a photo third.
Admire Rakti, that was his first run in a race since May. It was a great effort. He did run 4th in the Japan Cup last year behind Gentle Donna. Look, we've seen it before, Richard. These Japanese horses, they're very, very hard to beat.
Look, I've said it a million times, but people underestimate how strong the Japanese racing industry is. It is incredibly strong. We don't see many of their horses come down here. Admire Rakti would be in their top 10 horses. Don't let people think he's a C grade or he's a handicapper over there. He's not. He's one of their top 10 horses. But to be able to travel, sit 3 deep, on a track you've never seen before, not having had a run for 167 days. It's just a phenomenal effort from a phenomenal racehorse. And, I watched that again in awe of him, what he produced the last, 50 metres, 100 metres of that race. Just a very, very good racehorse and a class above yesterday. He was just a class above.
Definitely a dominant performance, considering the circumstances. They didn't go that hard. He's probably better at 2 mile than what he is at 1.5 miles. Outstanding ride on the second horse, I thought, by McDonald on Rising Romance.
Brilliant.
Caught everyone by surprise at the start. Put it asleep on the fence. You could say he got to the front a little bit early, but what do you want to do with 53 kilos on your back when you've got a horse with 58?
A split when it's there.
Exactly right.
Any minute.
Exactly right. She's home for all money here. And I have to give Donna Logan credit the way she presented this horse all the way through, set to peak on the right day, which she did, but she just run into the wrong horse here. There's no doubt about it. Lucia Valentina, fantastic. Take nothing away from the winner, but she was fantastic. Who's to say that she won't run well in a Melbourne Cup? I'd like to see her in a Cox Plate, but you can't run in everything. And look, there was good runs here and there behind them.
What were the good Melbourne Cup trials?
Well, eyes for the winner. What do we do with him? How much do we hammer him with?
Well, he had 58 yesterday. He's got to get a kilo, hasn't he, for that sort of win?
No, I'm not sure. I think half a kilo maybe.
They don't give half a kilo to a Caulfield Cup winner who does that. You give a kilo.
You've got to give him something.
But
he's got, look, they say no horse with the 58 or horses above that haven't won since Think Big or something like that. So
no, I think the mare won. What was her third win?
Makybe Diva.
It was 58.5, wasn't it?
Yeah, but did she get a penalty and win? No.
Yeah. But I don't mind horses getting a penalty. When you get a penalty into the Melbourne Cup,
form.
It means you're just going well.
Exactly. Janoob was okay. There was a couple other good runs in the race, but look, the winner was just simply supreme, wasn't it?
Yeah, has to be.
Yeah, sir.
Prize favourite. Here we go. A week.
Dunedin. So to be consistent, he's got to get it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting tomorrow, 11:30. Well, week we were saying, this protectionist, he's going to run a short price favourite. Here we go. A week later now, we've got Admira Racti and Lucia Valentina hard in the market. Next week after Faulkner runs well in the Cox Plate, he will be favourite. It's just an overreaction.
It's very That's what we love about it, the overreaction.
I think it's great.
It's the juice. Look, the runners in the Caulfield Cup that actually ran the trip were the ones that were impressive, but they weren't in the same class as Admira Racti. You look at horses like a Raldo. He does run the trip.
Yeah, he ran well.
And he ran well. Who shot the barman?
$300,000 sporting bet powered by William Hill. Geelong Cup about to enjoy all the festivity. They're more than sacred. $5 from Sartorius and
no speed on. There's no speed on. We'll just let it all unfold. The horse has to get into a rhythm. If he's back last, he's last.
Cup. And Sartorius jumped away well near the outside, so did More Than Sacred. In the early stages, showing good speed, Ali Vital and marksmanship down on the inside. Ahead of Wish Come True and Zanbar in the red with the white cap. On her outside is Ominous and Sartorius trying to slot in just behind them. Marksmanship has the lead, but he has company down to the judge. Out in front, 1,000 metres to go by a length. In second spot, Ominous, a length and a half to Waltzing to Win. A length, Sartorius now fourth. 2 Caravan rolls on the inside of Marksmanship, and then a length and a half to Wish Come True, Zanbar. Down on the inside then came Pretty Blonde, and then More Than Sacred as they race down to approach the home turn. Shoreham taking off, and then Like a Carousel, and now Ali Vital is last. Correggio, the leader, coming around the home turn. Tackling it strongly, Waltzing to Win, who's dashed to the front, and then Sartorius and Marksmanship. Ominous has broken down. As they come around the home turn, Caravan rolls on, trying to work clear. Here's More Than Sacred coming with a run. Into the straight they come now. Marksmanship raced up on the outside with More Than Sacred. They go to the lead. Caravan rolls on, cut the corner, and now Shoreham coming on the outside. More Than Sacred, Marksmanship. Caravan rolls on the fence. They're the 3 leaders, and Like a Carousel coming through. Marksmanship with 100 to go. Caravan rolls on, getting up on the rails. Caravan rolls on, hits the front. Great leaders again. Time he's won this cup. Caravan rolls on from Marksmanship, Like a Carousel, and More Than Sacred ran fourth. A break further back to Pretty Blonde. Shoreham.
Williams at his absolute finest here in a race where there was some itchy triggers from jockeys going in the back straight for change in tempo.
I hope he gets a penalty. Those horses who are on the lighter weights end up getting the bigger penalties. The horse who won the Herbert Power got 2 kilos the other day. be a similar standard race today. So if he gets a penalty of that sort of nature, he'll be into the Cup and get to Fleming and get to 2 miles. That's his aim, and he'll be a top 6 chance for sure.
Some good racing coming up in WA, but the Geelong Craig Williams, he loves that race. The horse has since been given a 1.5 kilo penalty, Ron, for the Melbourne Cup. That takes him up to 52.5.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's still going to be enough to get him in. I'd like to see him in the race. I quite like this horse. I think he's beautifully handled by Danny O'Brien. He's had his issues.
Do you think he could win it?
No, I think
He can run 3,200 because he won the Sandown
top
Cup
10.
last year.
I think he'll
Okay,
finish top 10.
But he might be able to win something else.
Yeah, look, well, the dream's alive. When you got the connections that own this horse, they're thinking of big races.
Yeah.
The Qatar Bloodstock. But it's. I thought it was a lovely ride by Williams. He's a strong stayer, and I reckon Danny's got him peaking at an absolutely perfect time.
I agree with you that he wouldn't disgrace himself in a Melbourne Cup. He probably ran quite well. I don't think he could win it. No. Do you then go there to finish hopefully top 10, or do you go and try and win something else? I know financially.
Welcome to the big build-up for the Sporting Bet Manikato Stakes. And the mounting yard is absolutely jam-packed with keen participants, keen owners to see their Group 1 chance in the big one, $1 million. A weight for age sprint, and it is a classic race. 12 runners, 8 of them already Group 1 runners. And let's have a look at the runners, and we'll chat to all the key trainers as we build up to the big one, the Sporting Bet Manikato Stakes. Weight for age, over 1,200 metres. And we start with the defending champion.
And Nick Price pretty upbeat. Craig Newitt coming into this meeting also very upbeat. He is a very good gate horse. So if they want to burn the turf early and lead, they can. Whether they do or not, I'm not too sure. But the way the track's played, there'll be no incentive to go back and ease. Rebel Dane's been reasonably firm. Terra Vista just getting out a little bit. He got out to 480, back into 460. Famous Seamus might be the blowout horse late. He's been the best roughie, 21 into $18. And Platelet 20 into 18 as well.
Starter has them here. Racing now. Buffering began fast. Lankan Rupee beat him out. And Newitt put his foot straight on the accelerator. And it's Lankan Rupee the leader. But Buffering kicking up is about 3/4 away. Also showing speed, not listening to me. Temple of Berman bounding, went forward, but she couldn't get in. She's gone back. And Lankan Rupee sped across, and at the 800, he's in front. By a length and a half, Buffering to second, not listening to me third. 2 Temple of Boom, Angelic Light, 2 to Bounding, wobbling on the turn. Followed by Rebel Dane on the inside of Terra Vista, about 6 lengths away from the lead. Then Moment of Change, followed by Iconic and Platelet. Famous Seamus 2 lengths away. So Lankan Rupee tries to back it off. Leads by 3/4 to Buffering. A length and a half, not listening to me. Temple of Boom wide, Angelic Light in the centre. They're followed then by Moment of Change coming around the outside, and Terra Vista can't get a run, and Nork and Rebel Dane. And Lankan Rupee's going for home. Buffering's trying to go with him. Lankan Rupee about a length in front, and then Temple of Boom not listening to me. Down the outside, Terra Vista. Lankan Rupee in front. Buffering trying to get him. Lankan Rupee 3/4 clear. Down the outside, Terra Vista flying home. They swarmed to the line about 5 or 6 across. Lankan Rupee, I reckon he might have held on. They're everywhere across the course here. Famous Seamus, Terra Vista, Rebel Dane, Angelic Light. Don't hold me to any of these placings for sure. Buffering is just off them. Temple of Boom weakened, so did Bounding. Iconics towards the end, and so is Moment of Change and Platelet. What a finish, but he's going to hang on and get it.
It simply does not get any better than that. And the world's highest ranked sprinter will win. Lankan Rupee. Well, Craig Newitt just said, I'm going forward. I'm going to be too strong. He kicked clear, and he has held on with a sensational example of just pure speed and guts. Great ride.
So many hard luck tails in the race. They've come from everywhere. Angelic Light, Terra Vista. There's horses stretched across the track. Angelic Light was bursting through. Terra Vista was coming on her outside. Rebel Dane needed a run.
Famous Seamus as well.
Moment of Change right there. But it's Lankan Rupee. The plan of it. Craig Newitt. A relieved Craig Newitt. Sammy's with him trackside.
Thanks, Terry. He's just a bit rev. Good on you, Froggy. You're positive on him. Straight to the front. He's too good.
He's like a rocket today, Sammy. Made his work last Saturday morning. I just grew in confidence with him. And I thought the other day, when he ran second, we probably let Buffering a little bit too soft in front. But he's just a rocket, this horse, mate, out of the machines. I just grabbed the bit between the teeth and sent him to the front. He didn't really get much of a breather, but I dragged him around the corner, let him rail up, and he was there to be run down, mate, but he's clutched on through.
Tough, hard. Oh, gee, I was very relieved. It was a gutsy ride. It was a gutsy decision to cross buffering, but certainly didn't want to be, seeing a repeat of what happened 4 weeks ago. He's a very hard horse to get past buffering, especially if he's allowed to run the first three. Damien Brown's pretty good on him. So we were going to either eyeball buffering, but to cross him so early, I think it was good that he got about 400 metres there where he had a breather. But look, my heart was pumping. It was fantastic. He's
6 across. Lincoln Rupee, I reckon he's...
Still worth watching, isn't it? It is quite amazing. Okay, there's 28 unlucky runners in a 12-horse field. Lack and Rupee ran about 12 seconds for the first furlong, 8.5 for the second, kept on going, and he was amazing. An amazing race in total. I'll say the best horse won on the night.
No doubt in the world, best horse won on the night. Did all the work early and then was brave in the end. Yeah, there was only unlucky, but that's the theatre of Moonee Valley, and don't you love it? Famous Seamus was outstanding. Noel Mayfield-Smith, he was sweating. Terra Vista's, he's like me, he's a big boy. Oh, yeah. And he didn't handle the track really well.
Angelic Light,
obviously. Fantastic. Yeah,
my friend was gone at the 600. There he is.
Yeah, he's still fighting.
And Rebel Dane, that's the way you've got to ride him, because he get to the front, he gets terrified. You get to the front, he gets terrified. One day when he gets to luck, he'll blow you away.
Platelets run second last and gone enormous.
Moment of change.
Yeah.
Probably the best Group 1 I've seen, I think.
It was exciting. It was
brilliant. It was absolutely. You didn't know where to look.
And that's Failson in wagering for the last.
I think he had a bit on his plate there, Rich, because there was protests, of course, Oliver and Tim Clark.
I've been critical of him. That was the right decision. It just took a long time to get to. It was clearly, I think you and were tweeting that it was clearly the right decision.
Of course, again, calling in, that was the bottom line of
Stormont will be the Darley Classic at Flemington, where we'll get to see the majority of these.
What a hot race it's going to be.
In Slade Power, Chautauqua, its jump out on Friday was sensational. It is absolutely flying. So, question mark, obviously now.
That was clear. Down the outside, Terra Vista flying home. They swarmed to the line about 5 or 6 across. Lincoln Rupee, I reckon he might have held on. They're everywhere across the course here.
What a race it was, and a lot followed. A real saga followed after the Manikato Stakes. Craig Newitt is with us at Moonee Valley.
He did, mate. What he did Friday night, I think he's probably the only horse in Australia that could have done it both ends and held on. I think his sectionals from the 1,000 to the 600 was 21.3 or something, which not many horses can do it, let alone
maintain it.
Let alone sustain it. He didn't get much of a breather at any stage. For him to hold off that class of field, outstanding. His great will to win gets him over the line. So I think when he goes to Flemington down the straight, when we can get his times right and build into the race, I can't see him beating him.
Okay, so you're saying obviously he's not at his best at Moonee Valley. When you see him down the straight, you're going to see the real dominant sprinter again.
Yeah, I think I will, and I've said that all along that look, like Friday night his sectionals were pretty much upside down. I think he ran home in 24.4, and yet they still weren't able to pick him up. So if we can switch those round and just keep building into the race,
you are at that stage. You're making the decision to go forward and lead.
Well, at that stage, mate, it wouldn't have mattered whether I'd have given him a crack round the tail. He literally could not go any quicker. He was low flying. Buffering was having the ears scrubbed off him. And it was only for probably 100 metres down the side that I actually got him to come back on the bit. But no sooner I did that, I had to get going again. And I know there was a lot of hard luck runs behind him, but no horse had a tougher run than him.
Any concerns with the protest? Were you concerned?
No, I was a little bit when it went for so long, and they were calling everyone by the barman in to give evidence. But,
was that barman?
Look, I always felt that I had pretty much very minimal impact on any interference. Interference was done before I come along, so I wasn't.
And look, I think there was no way you should have had the race taken off you, but I don't reckon you were completely innocent either. You were heading across with the others, but not enough evidence to convict there.
Well, it's a bit both. Buffering comes out.
I know. There was
a bit of intimidation.
There was too many people involved, but there was a little bit of pressure there. In my opinion,
second and third copped it.
I just think that's great competitive riding. So good luck to you on that one.
Had nothing to do with it, mate.
Obviously, you're still right.
Totally innocent. So who did cause that interference?
We're still
in the
trying to
wash-up,
work
who caused that interference to Angelic Light and to Famous Seamus? Because Angelic Light almost fell over. It was a pretty severe check.
Nobody caused it.
Egan's horse was heading in there. I must admit, I was surprised when I woke up yesterday and there were no suspensions. When I will say, in just talking about other horses in the race, we as you for you, Craig.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a great race, and obviously 90% of those horses will line up again, and then you've got the couple of other ones. So it's going to be a great race.
Okay, we might just have one last look at the replay there of the Manikato Stakes. Obviously, Lankan Rupee, the winner. Angelic Light, terribly unlucky.
Well, you could go through the whole field if you want to. You could make a case for, a heap of runners here. Terra Vista got lost early. He got a bump early, then he got lost and unbalanced. And I thought there was merit in his performance. We saw what happened to the second and third horses, Angelic and Light and Famous Seamus. They should have obviously been figuring right in the. Well, they did figure in the finish, but maybe they should have won. You got a horse like Moment of Change. He's sitting, 4 and 5 deep with no cover. He gets beat less than a length. I'm really struggling to analyse this race as far as the future's concerned. But I will say, take nothing away from the winner. He made it happen for himself, and he got he held off all challenges.
I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to find ways why it wasn't a good performance. It was a great performance from horse and jockey there. It was a tough, competitive ride, a tough, competitive horse who's probably not at his best at Moonee Valley. And if Craig's right, we'll see the real deal come out at Flemington. That'll be great to watch.
That Rebel Dane running into dead ends.
Third race coming up. We go to the mile now. We've had 2,000-metre races out to the mile now for the Drummond Golf Classic, Phillies Classic, and Lamosti is your short price favourite here. Robert Smurden going for 2 of the first 3 of the day. And there's Lamosti heading towards the Oaks where Robert...
Favourite Lamosti jumped pretty well down towards the inside, one away from the rails, and Tani Dancer, the second favourite, and the red colours away well with Tender, who's holding a place along the rails and return, and Tender is the leader. By a length to the favourite Lamosti, and Haute deep in the red colours, followed by Singularity and Tani Dancer's fifth. 1.5 away, Little Hottie, Kansas Sunflower off and running wider, followed by Berenbauer, who's no run on the inside, and the Godolphin Blue, and Dame Largo last. At the 600 metres, down by the school, Tender by a length, Lamosti. Haute has been wide, Singularity right behind them with Tani Dancer, followed by Kansas Sunflower, Berenbauer as they neared the turn, Little Hottie's off the bridle, Dame Largo is last, it's Tender the leader. Lamosti's had a really easy run, and she's about to be popped the question. Tani Dancer's running on, and then Singularity and Berenbauer as they corner, and Lamosti dash for home. Tani Dancer tries to go with her. Lamosti got away and a clear by about 1.5 lengths now to Tani Dancer. Good battle going on for third, but it's all behind Lamosti. Nick Hall's got the key to her, and Lamosti won it by 2 lengths, Tani Dancer. Third, Berenbauer got up and grabbed it from Singularity. Tender, then Little Hottie, and
ran true to script, true to form, and it was tail of the tape stuff here. They've just dawdled through the first 850.13.
Great insight, Nick, and you've got your eye in now. Bring on the Cox Plate.
Yeah, let's get it done.
If Phil has his way, and I reckon he will, he'll be running in the Oaks along with Fontaine Ruby and also for Crafty.
Well, she's the one that fits that Mosheen type profile going into the race. It doesn't say on a pedigree that she's an out-and-out stayer or she's going to relish an Oaks trip.
Pretty well set here with Crafty, Lamosti, and of course Fontaine Ruby. Going to go good yesterday. Now also well placed is
50. The one that interests me is Au Revoir and Precedence. They both went up 5 and 6 respectively, and nothing has changed. We'll keep that monitored with 4 minutes to go to the Moonee Valley Gold Cup.
well over on the outside, the favourite. Epingle got away well, and going through as Black Tycoon soon after the start. Precedence is now drifting back to be second last. Black Tycoon, Au Revoir, El Benetti are up there ahead of Epingle and Leroy, who holds the rails. A line of almost 5 as they come around the turn the first time ahead of Opinion, Precedence. Prince of Penzance at Anudja one is last. They're taking a little bit of time to sort out their places, and eventually it's the French galloper. Au Revoir has been taken to the lead by Damien Oliver. Black Tycoon up second, 2 in front of Loire, third on the inside of El Benetti. Just over a length clear, 1,000 metres left to go now. From Black Tycoon, Loire, El Benetti a length and a half away from Precedence, and then Epingle, Anudja, second last Opinion, Prince of Penzance last. No change, still 800 left to go. Pingle on a run around the outside. Prince of Penzance putting in a run, but not quite clear in opinions. Right off the track, Albanetti got into trouble and lost the rider around the turn. Au revoir with Loire coming on strongly, and then Prince of Penzance, Precedence, Andy Pingle. It's au revoir, Loire, and on the outside of the pair of them, Prince of Penzance strikes hard. Prince of Penzance draws away and wins it for Michelle Payne. Loire second and Nick au revoir third. A break then Pingle, Precedence and Opinion. Further back a Nudgewin. The last one is Black Tycoon, and Albanetti Chad Schofield took a fall, must have got onto some heels, and he's being attended to around the home turn. Soon as we hear anything on Chad, we'll let you know. The horse continued on. He's all right, or she's all right.
Given the second and third have been right on the speed in the slowly run race. He's come from a long way back, saved the ground. Brilliant ride from Michelle Payne and had the last crack at him and was good enough to get over him despite that moderate tempo. All honours with the winner here.
Slow to ride him forward, which was the original plan. So just had to go to plan B, which was get him to settle. And once he got into a rhythm, he was beautiful. And I thought, well, I've got to ride for luck now because can't go around them and win. And it was just fantastic. So happy. This is one of my favourite days of racing and so happy to be a winner.
Well done, Michelle. Terrific thrill for you. Good on you.
Thanks.
Well, a tough win for Prince of Penzance, a tough race for Chad Schofield. He's still a bit dusty this morning, as Brent reported there. Prince of Penzance, a $50,000 pen tie for a huge bunch of owners for Darren Weir here. The option is try and chance your arm and get into the Melbourne Cup. Probably the more realistic option is to go to the Queen Elizabeth Stakes, but a terrific staying performance here. That's 2 for 2 at the Valley, though, for this horse.
I think it just appreciates that little bit of extra give that the Valley does provide for some horses. He's taken a while to hit his straps this time in. Prince of Penzance, but that's the horse at his best with that really sharp late sprint that we saw from him yesterday. Last prep, it looked like he just struggled to get the 1.5 miles strongly. He's a more mature horse this time around, and he certainly got the trip well
here. I was arguing too that Diane Dunn outside was kept everything tight inside of her. And
look at the size of the split.
There's nothing there, and she said she didn't want to be there, but she had to be there, otherwise she's in trouble. And eventually, obviously, sadly, it becomes Chad's issue, and he's down. Horse going, so it gets through the gap. It's an amazing piece of
Michelle's side, but I back Loire, so if she doesn't take the run, I get the money, don't I?
Yeah.
There's a fine line between riding tight and competitive and riding in the rules. And the stewards have obviously come down quite heavy on Michelle's actions, obviously a 20-meeting ban. So
he's got 50.5 kilos in the Melbourne Cup at this stage, so they'd need a pretty good penalty for that to make it into the field, Ronnie.
Yeah, I doubt whether he'd get a sufficient penalty to get him in the field. He's 2 for 2 at Moonee Valley now. He lacks a bit of race sense. So I don't know whether he's the easiest horse to ride. A 12 out of 10 ride, other than Michelle getting suspended over the incident here. Look at him here. He's got on the bit. He's got nowhere to go, and he takes a narrow split. Unfortunately, it caused a bit of a chain reaction, and Chad Schofield goes down, but he's okay.
Very dangerous fall, too.
Yeah, it was.
Very dangerous fall.
They're all
and
dangerous.
Is it just coincidence? It probably is that Michelle, Michelle and Chad were the two riders involved in Chad's long suspension.
Yes,
So I think it is just coincidence, but it was a lovely ride other than that. But, other than that...
Let's get straight to the yard because these will be out shortly. Only 6 minutes to go due to these race time situation. And Sprinters is your favourite. Number one, Sprinters, $3.10. Touch 360. That's your top mark, 360 into 310. And is the Sprinters, number one, 360, top corner here. So that's not even 6 degrees of separation. That's about 2. Anyway.
He was a ripper. Where's the Wilfwoods at the start, and he didn't jump well. Speediness began okay. And in the early stages, Hook got away well, and there's Havana Ray spearing up towards the front as well on the outside. Akavurin just off them, and Atlante's going fast, but he's out very, very wide. Bull Point went back for Ryan Moore and settled down second last. First turn came up with Havana Ray out in front by about 1.5 lengths. Hooked as second, and Atlante's moving up. Havana Ray led by 2. Hooked in second, placing 2.5. Atlante, 1 Akavurin, 1.5 lengths to Speediness. He'll be pleased with this speed. Followed then by Desert Journey. And second last on the outside, Liberty's Choice, and last the fence is Bull Point. Havana Ray, the leader, down the side at the 650, leading by about 3/4. Hooked and 2 Atlanta. Akavuran's off the bit now. Speediness gradually creeping up, and then Desert Journey. Behind them is Liberty's Choice and Bull Point being niggled at as last. Havana Ray joined by Hooked as they come round the turn at the 400 metres. Williams going for home, and Hook really answers strongly. He gets away to Havana Ray. Akavuran's boxing on. Atlante's gone, and Speediness coming on. Now he comes with his run. Into the straight, Hooked by about 3 lengths. Speediness ran to second. Desert Journey's getting home. Hooked in front at the 100 metres. He's gassed, but he's got 2 or 3 on Desert Journey, Speediness and Bull Point. And Hooked will go. Hooked will score by 2 lengths. Photo for second between Bull Point and Desert Journey. Speediness has run fourth. Then Akavuran, followed by...
Well, brilliant performance here by Hook within 0.2 of the track record, which has stood forever. 134.98 off a hot speed. Out the first 800 in 46.97 here. High pressure race. He was there to be run down, Hooked. And this investment by Sean Buckley.
Draws today. We had a nice barrier draw. Very competitive race. And he has got good gate speed and got him into the right position.
For Johnny Thompson, of course, Sean Buckley buying Hooked for 600,000. Leaves it with John. Good theatre there also, and Hooked. Horse to beat in the Emirates off that. A few disappointments. Bull Point. Wow, how good did he go there yesterday for Ryan Moore? But what a terrific... I love these horses which put themselves on the speed, keep themselves out of trouble.
Mile, a Group 2 taken out by Hooked there from the John Thompson stable. He's going really well. He won the Cameron Handicap at Newcastle, of course. Then he got sold in the Patnack Farm Dispersal. And for his new owners, he's run third in the Epsom and won the Crystal Mile there at Moonee Valley. So I think they paid 600,000 for him. He's paying them back.
Yeah, look, they deserve everything they get. They put your hand in your pocket for 600,000 for a tried horse. It's and you know, a 4-year-old at that. But look, he looked good yesterday. His last 2 runs have been career best. He's been one of my favourite horses. I've been backing him all the way through, but dropped off him yesterday. He did at both ends. He ran fast time. He went there on Tuesday morning, and they were all saying he worked terribly and he wasn't getting around the track. So all things go well for him come the big stretches of Flemington. We know he can eat pressure now that he can be ridden closer. He's a mile specialist, although he was placed in the Derby. He ticks a few boxes. Bull Point, he's driving me crazy, this horse. I've been backing him all the way through, and he keeps sucking me in with those sorts of runs. Anyway,
are you over him yet?
I'm not over him. I'm probably going to spec him again if he goes to the Emirates with no weight on his back. But
Hook. And here's the tips. Going to go Chivalry, Moon Over Manhattan, and Atmosphere 13, 2, 4, and 10.
Let's go back to Rosehill. And Winona Costin, that's tremendous. Horses are on the track here for the Vars. Running second favourite is Chivalry, trained by Mark, running in the McKinnon Stakes.
Yep.
Like Casual passed it a few years ago and able to win it. It's Sam's pick of the yard too, Chivalry, horse number 2. You can
set. Chivalry 1, Atmosphere 3. They're ready. And they're off. Atmosphere didn't begin very well down in 3. Chivalry got away well. Royal Standing's rider just lost his offside iron. He's trying to tuck back in there. Zululand away with the flyer for Ryan Moore had the lead. Moon Over Manhattan quickly gets to second. 2 lengths on its time. Royal Standing is now third and fourth on the inside. It's a good strong tempo. Next Atmosphere outside Chivalry. So they race together as they go past the 1600. They're out to go towards the 800 metres turn, and Zululand makes it a pretty strong tempo, led by 2 lengths to Moon Over Manhattan and Royal Standing third, just a bit keen now. Its time is fourth, 2 lengths away, Chivalry on the inside, followed by Atmosphere, then Go Indigo. Prentice well back with Coram San Padre and Bondiga as last. Business End coming up now, and Zululand is the leader, about a neck in front of Moon Over Manhattan. On the outside, it's time. Royal Standing ridden along. Atmosphere coming to the outside. Chivalry's coming with him. The 2 favourites are starting to stoke up and make their runs now. To the turn, Zululand about a neck in front of Moon Over Manhattan. A length and a half to Chivalry and Atmosphere. They're both hard at it, trying to make ground. Royal Standing staying on, and then Go Indigo. It's Moon Over Manhattan who claims the lead around the home turn. Kicked away a length and a half to Atmosphere. Zululand, Chivalry can't go on, but it's Moon Over Manhattan 2 in front. Down near the line, and Moon Over Manhattan is all too good. Won it by 2 lengths to Atmosphere. Go Indigo, I think, will get up and get third ahead of Chivalry and Royal Standing. Zululand and then Bondiga, who's made a lot of late ground from last end.
It's a win for Mick Price. Last night they scored the big one in the Manikato Stakes over the sprint trip, and now they produce Moon Over Manhattan. A clever ride by Newitt because they were walking up front here. They ran the first 1200 in 1:18.82, 2:6.44 overall here, and he just out-toughed them from the right position in the race.
Spherically said, a nice derby trial there. Ditto with Go Indigo from an Oaks point of view. She's done a nice job.
4 seconds slower than the Cox Plate tempo. Of course, that was a hot tempo, but 1:18.82, very slow for the first 400 here. But that's not the knock to win it. Moon Over Manhattan. Mick Price had a few derby contestants in the past without winning it. He'll take his place in a pretty even derby away from Hampton Court, perhaps with two maideners, Atmosphere and Preferment, as second and third favourites for the race. So that's probably some sort of measure of the race.
It was a solid performance there from Moon Over Manhattan, and a deserved group win too, because he'd been really competitive in the lead-ups to the Guineas and whatnot, running really nice races in stud stakes and the like. Atmosphere off what has been a horror preparation, what Trent and Natalie have been able to do a couple of times here in Australia, and has bounced back. I love the run of Bondiga, Richard. Yeah. Really late in the race, just got tightened up on the corner. He's a raw talent and not overly big, but gives the impression he's going to run 2,500.
I think he will run the distance. Obviously, Chivalry doesn't. Had to have a throw at the stumps and the slow speed.
Exactly right. I mean, he sat on the back of the fast speed Caulfield Guineas, and as you all seen, the leader did an enormous job to hang on, and the rest of them around him sort of dropped off, which he did as well. But
strong pace on and use his resilience and his ability to keep going. Which way would you prefer it?
No, I'd like it for him. I think he'd appreciate a softer tempo early because he's actually got a good little turn off run. He'll have a good little kick.
He relaxed off a soft speed. He seemed to just, and it could be a race that could turn into some sort of form. That's that Bondiga
getting a check there, and it threw him off stride. And he actually, I agree with you. He hit the line nice and strongly, at least as well as Go Indigo did. And if you say that hers was a good derby, a good Oaks trial, then his was a good derby trial.
Yeah, Chivalry, jury's out on him. He's an underachiever. He's been a boom on him all the way through, and he's a bit of a pretty boy, isn't he?
Oh, what a great performer he is. The crowd going wild. The build-up well and truly on its way. And the Cox Plate is making its way down at the straight. Oh, it's what an exciting. Touching on the market for the Cox Plate, 23 minutes out, where Faulkner and Super Tab is still a $4.10 favourite. Criterion at $5.90. The Cleaner, the Fairy Tale at $7.10. Adelaide, $8.70. And Happy Trails with those in single figures
around the country. I think everyone's a piece of the ticket with the Cleaner on him. $7.49 and $6 on Tats. There you go. Faulkner's your favourite. $4.60 from Criterion at $6 in Adelaide.
Him up today. Oh, he's beautiful. I couldn't be happier.
We know the tactics.
Well, they won't change.
That's right. Do you think he can win?
Well, he'll be there. I'll put it that way. And whatever he does, I'll be happy with.
Good on you, Mick.
They have 460 into 440. He and Criterion are the two the punters have come for in the last few minutes. Punters on course, bookies into 113%. They're
well, let's go to Greg Bowles because we can't hear anything here. Let's go to Greg.
Righto, Bruce. We're getting closer and closer. Runners about to be called in. They're at the stalls. For the Sporting Bet Cox Plate, they're up. Happy Trails went up in the air. He's missed it badly down on the inside. Faulkner began well. Wandjina goes forward. Sideglance got away quickly. Adelaide eases. The Cleaner away fast on the outside. He's up there with Sideglance, Almalad. And just off them, Faulkner. Here's the first turn coming up. And Wandjina, the 3-year-old, kicks up to hold the lead. Not for long, though, because the Cleaner's on his mission out wide. Sideglance up there with Almalad. He's still 3 wide. So the Cleaner's still 4 deep past the 1,600. And Faulkner gets a lovely trail off that leading quartet. He's in 5th placing. In front of Forteller and Royal Descent. 2 lengths away then Guest of Honour, Silent Achiever, Happy Trails, Criterion. They're followed by Sacred Falls back on the inside, and then Swainess and Adelaide is a length and a half last of all. Out past the 1,200, the Cleaner did a lot of work, but he's found his favoured role. He leads a length and a half. Elmalad is second. Sideglance is third, a length and a half to Wandjina. 2.5 lengths away then Forteller, who's on the inside of Faulkner. Then 2 lengths away, Royal Descent on the outside of Silent Achiever. A further 2 lengths further back in the field came Happy Trails, who's over on the rails. There's Swainess, or rather Adelaide, starting a move around the outside now as they go to the 800 metres, and then Guest of Honour, Sacred Falls, Criterion, and Swainess is now back last. So the Cleaner, this is where he puts his foot down, and he leads by 2.5. Arnold winding it up in the Cox Plate. From in second placing, Wandjina around the outside of Elmalad. Here comes Faulkner with his run, followed by Side Glance. Back behind those horses, then Silent Achiever starting to thread away through the field with Royal Descent. And Adelaide's on a mission around the outside. He's coming with a swooping run now. To the home turn, the cleaner joined by Wandjina and Faulkner. Adelaide continuing his resolute run around Silent Achiever and then Side Glance. Faulkner first for the judge. Adelaide ran to second from Silent Achiever and Side Glance. 100 metres to go. It's Faulkner tackled by Adelaide. Silent Achiever's coming home well. Adelaide, Faulkner. Adelaide on the outside in front, and Adelaide has won the Cox Plate. From a lineup, Faulkner's there with Side Glance, Fortella, Happy Trails, all in photo finishes. Close up as Silent Achiever. Just behind them is the Cleaner, followed then by Swayness and Wandjina. Royal Descent, Sacred Falls never came into the race. Elmalad is a long second last, and just about to walk past the post, pulled up virtually, is Guest of Honour.
It's an international victory, and it goes to the powerful Coolmore operation for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. This horse who started his life on the racetrack a year ago at Leopardstown on wet ground, winning a maiden, wins his Cox Plate in Australia for Ryan Moore in cracking time, 2:3.76, just 2/10 outside Martin Power's record. That's how hard they went. They went the first 1200 in 1:14.71. A truly exciting race. They've lined up behind here. Adelaide, winner of the Cox Plate. There was no place for the loafing or to lie down here. A spectacular victory, Gator. We'll get the placing.
Worthy of its title, Bruce. Australia's greatest race, just about, isn't it? Certainly Australia's greatest weight for age race. And Adelaide sustains a run of about 1,000 metres as a Northern Hemisphere three-year-old with 56 kilos. That's an outstanding win. Faulkner every chance will get the second. All righty, $823. Faulkner gets second. Silent Achiever will get third in a return to form. 11, 2 and 9 numbers confirmed for the Cox Plate. Took off wide, no trail from a long way. Had to be 1,000 metres out. It just kept coming and coming. 2014, Cox.
Colt has done an amazing job.
Yeah, he's a very good horse because he stepped out slowly, went quick early on. I was a long way back, and then I just thought down the back when they steadied it, I thought I had to creep closer. And was giving away a bit of ground, but he was creeping and got into the back of the filly. I thought she might bring me a bit further, and she stopped. Sort of got onto the back of Faulkner, and he brought me in. He drifted me out a bit further, but he's a very good horse because he's done it the hard way.
I know, no doubt you've got a place in Australian history now. Well done.
I'd say the horse has, not me.
Well done.
Thanks, Richo. We've got Nick Williams here because Faulkner, a brave favourite, brave. Let's talk us through it from Nick's point of view.
Oh, he just said the horse stumbled coming out of the barriers and obviously gave him a scare for a second or so. But, that's no excuse for the horse. He ran to his absolute best. He was beaten by a better one on the day. And, I'm never good to be beaten, but it's nice to be beaten by some good friends. And I'm glad that they've done well.
So the Inghams are involved in this.
In the world. In fact, there's probably no people in the world that put more money into racing than the Magnier family. And so for Tom to initiate the idea of bringing that horse out here and get some other people involved for it to stay here, I think it's going to be a great asset to Australian racing. And, I'm just thrilled that they've got to win it.
The future.
The Coxman's there.
Yes, from Tipperary in Ireland, Aidan O'Brien claims a Group 1 in Australia with a horse named from South Australia. Adelaide wins the Cox Plate, and what a fabulous victory it was too in almost record time. A hot speed set by the Cleaner and others here, and that's him, the widest runner here. And Adelaide wins the Cox Plate, and part owned by John Murray, who joins us this morning. John, the morning after, you get a chance to look back on it and think that horse is one of the best horses in the world right now.
Yeah, good morning, Bruce. It was a fabulous run, and gee, what a campaign. I mean, this horse has won in various countries overseas, and then to travel all the way from Ireland down here and to settle down the way that he had, and then to come out and win this was quite an extraordinary achievement. I think he's right up there in the top echelon of the best horses.
The more you watch it, Rich,
just a phenomenal performance. Don't worry about looking for unlucky runners. No. He took off before the 1,000 and just kept going to the top of the straight.
Off a hot speed.
I looked at myself and said, well, he's got to stop. You can't keep going the way he's going. And she was, and at the line was terrific.
John, you're there, and your horse Ryan just drags back to last here, and the speed on up front here, 1:14 for the first 1,200 in a Cox Plate's unheard of. Wandjina kicking up inside made it a true pressure test here, Rich. And
I thought Elmer let it go forward, and I thought Wandjina, having now found its best way to race being ridden cold, I was surprised it went so far forward. Raw Descent was too aggressive early.
About when Ryan pops out, we come past the 1,000-metre chute there, and he pops out. You can't believe a horse 3-year-old Northern Hemisphere time can sustain a 1,000-metre run like this, proving his absolute quality.
No, I think that's right. I mean, that was it was a superb run from that point in time, and coming around into the home turn there, I guess I was sort of thinking, can you keep this going? Because he was pretty wide, and he kept going. I thought it was a remarkable test of stamina over, as Richie said, quite a long period of time.
John, the horse had form at 2,400 metres in Europe. With the cleaner expected to set a strong tempo, was there much talk in the team about the benefit of having that form over a longer distance in a race like this?
Yeah, I think there was. I think the horse, as you say, had proven himself over 2,400, and depending on how this race might have run, it might have been equivalent to a 2,400 in many ways. So, he had the staying ability to kick in, and I think we saw that today.
His biggest asset coming in was going to be if he could get a drag up and then outdash them. And he did. Because I've seen his great turn of foot in Europe and in America. That was another level yesterday to sustain a 1,200 metre, and he never got a breather. Because when Raw Descent stopped in his lap, it's
a fantastic Cox Plate. And for you, John, we touched on this with Brent Zarafa, and then you.
Yeah, he ran terrific. I had to lead the charge there. The cleaner strung us out, and I felt like a good horse could be there to pick us up. But I didn't know he was going to be coming from that far back. He did a good job, the winner.
Yeah, he never lets us down. Had a good position by the winner post first time, but probably the way the race was panning out is probably I wanted to be a little bit further back, but it's the way it panned out. But he kept trying in the straight and he stuck on well to get fourth. The winner is very impressive.
Chris sets his horses for races and he gets them ready and they usually perform well, and just got held up a little bit when Sidelance shut their gate on me a little bit at the top of the straight, but his last final 200 was great, so exciting times ahead.
Yeah, it would have been good if he could have travelled a lot better than he did. He was out of comfort zone, a fair way from home, probably the whole race. He just wasn't comfortable. Tight team.
Best in the world.
Look, I think he does. And as I say, as you said, Bruce, he only started running a year ago. So how much more has he got to do? And where? That all remains to be seen. But there's still a big racing future ahead for this horse over the next 6 to 12 months, I would have thought.
He's nearly the perfect Coolmore horse, isn't he? He's now got an Australian Group 1. He's got an American Group 1. Yeah. Landed a couple in the UK, and he's got it made.
No, I think that's right. And that's what makes that win so unique yesterday, for a whole range of factors. But it was a significant event yesterday.
Faulkner, terrific.
Brave again. Yeah,
Melbourne Cup for him. Side Glance.
That's brave, yeah.
As good as he went.
Yeah. Thought he was terrific. Happy Trails.
It missed the start, cost it probably, but only maybe a minor place chance. I don't think it would have beaten Adelaide.
Foreteller, terrific.
Yeah, fantastic again. He just keeps doing that, doesn't he?
He does.
Like
the clean-up, we saw Brave.
Brave, very brave.
Guest of honour, shouldn't have been in the race.
Yep.
Criteria. Well, I'd say the easiest way to say it. I told Michael Brown and Bob Scarborough on Tuesday.
And wins the Cox Plate, and internationals top of the market here. 1-2. That's Japan, Germany.
And Silent Achievers there. Adrian Dunn's reported this morning. Roger James said definitely won't run in the Melbourne Cup. Sydney, the Autumn Carnival will be her aim.
Okay, a lot to play there. Sign-off. Just keep putting that name in the back of your head. When's the Lexus next week?
Because they've got to win the Lexus. Due to them, they bring their horses down here and they're cleaning us up. But we've got to ask ourselves some hard questions. Our biggest races are all middle distance and long distance races, and here we are. We've got nothing.
Well, hopefully we can win the sprints. During the carnival.
We opened the door, and in they came.
They certainly did. They've embraced it all right.
His run followed by Side Glance. Then around the outside, he's coming with a swooping run now. To the home turn, the cleaner joined by Wandjina and Faulkner. Adelaide continuing his resolute run around Silent Achiever and then Side Glance. Faulkner first for the judge. Adelaide ran to second from Silent Achiever and Side Glance. 100 metres to go. It's Faulkner tackled by Adelaide. Silent Achiever's coming home well. Adelaide, Faulkner. Adelaide on the outside in front, and Adelaide has won the Cox Plate. From a lineup, Faulkner's there with Side Glance, Fortella, Happy Trails, all in photo finishes.
Adelaide, ridden by Ryan Moore and trained by Aidan O'Brien. He'd run third at Longchamp in September in a Group 2 race for 3-year-olds at his previous start. And here he is taking our top weight for age race. Our special guest on racing this retro this morning, James Bester. He's the racing manager for Coolmore Australia, and he's joining us from Mooney.
Adelaide was identified as the ideal horse because he loved left-handed tracks, or he could handle tight left-handed tracks, loves firm ground. And they then purchased half of the horse, and so the plan was conceived.
And it really...
To do that,
Adelaide, he's really a 3-year-old. He's treated as a 4-year-old in Australia. It's only his 8th start. And to win a Cox Plate in that manner, this must be the most exciting horse Coolmore's ever had in Australia.
Oh, Ronnie, for sure. Look, he's now kind of top of the heap at Ballydoyle as well with the retirement of Australia. But that was some performance, honestly. He giving weight like that to those other 3-year-olds, which I think should be the burning issue. Why in this day and age can we not weight our horses according to their actual age?
So yesterday he was weighted as a 4-year-old in our terms when he's really only 3.5.
He was weighted as a 4-year-old, but of course he got a slight concession from the other 4-year-olds, perhaps 1.5 kilos. But, you know, we're into racing internationally now, and horses are coming from all over Japan and Europe and the United States. Why can we not everywhere weight them according to their actual age?
It's a good question, James, and congratulations.
Resume having won a Group 1 in America and then in Australia. So I would say that he would go back to race in Royal Ascot, but for the moment he stays in Australia and aims at the championships.
James, could we have basically no system for producing stayers, and yet our biggest races are middle distance and staying races? We have no breeding system to produce them, and we really don't have a training system that develops them.
Yeah, no doubt, Richard. For a while, New Zealand was kind of filling that void with the likes of Zabeel. I think that this wave of imports, purchased imports, is going to find its own level. They're becoming very expensive. And I do believe that there is a place for the staying kind of stallion to produce that kind of horse. I think the tide will turn, and I think that with horses like Adelaide, like Camelot, like It's a Done Deal and others, I think that we will produce those horses ourselves.
James, tell us a little.
The favourite for the race?
Oh, he was brave. He carted the field up, and, you know, obviously the time says it was a pretty high-pressure race. You know, nearly broke the course record, although the track was playing fast, I must say. But, look, Faulkner's there dragging the whole field, and he was still there, one of the last men standing there. So I thought it was a pretty good Melbourne Cup trial.
Tough effort. It was a tough effort. You know, the horse nearly fell out of the gates. He flattened his legs out of the gates and nearly, his nose nearly touched the ground. To pick himself up from there, get back in his rhythm, start the field up, lead the field into the straight, and just be knocked off by Adelaide, who you have to say, there were no excuses because Adelaide had to go right around the field as well. So a brave effort. I thought that it was a nice return to form for Silent Achiever. She ran on nicely.
Did she run in a Melbourne Cup?
Well, here's the thing. Look at those first 3 horses over the line, and maybe even more of them. 2,400 metre horses. You know, Adelaide is you know, capable at 2,400 metres, I think, and the other horses are definitely that. It was because of the high pressure that the cleaner put on from so far out. They were the only ones who could cope with it. The horses who could actually run 2,400 metres.
Well, we have a look at the start. We'll have a look at the start where you'll see Faulkner go onto his nose. He just knuckles there, and you'll see Happy Trails rare as well.
Nearly fell there.
You know, we can go back and see Happy Trails in barrier 2. He goes up in the air, and he's lost 2 lengths at the start. And he doesn't get beat far in this race as well. So
now, what about for our friends in Tassie? What about the cleaner? What was the wash up on the cleaner?
Look, he ran a brave race. You know, I don't think really any form student thought he could win a race like that at weight for age, but he was beaten a couple of lengths. I thought he ran to his best and did Tasmania proud.
That's exactly right.
He knows Aidan O'Brien really well.
There is talk around. I think Simon Marshall said it on Channel 7 yesterday that Lloyd tried or investigated at one stage buying Adelaide. Is that true? And secondly, is it true that Coolmore are going to buy the cleaner and run him as a pacemaker in every one of those?
The second one, negotiations are underway. The first one, I don't know. You'd have to ask Lloyd that.
Yeah, I think he was very keen on it early on. Yeah.
He may well have been. I don't say he wasn't.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah, no, I think he might have told Ron and I yesterday. I think Ron, off memory, I think he might have said it.
Subject for a moment. You obviously know.
Points going up there 3 wide. They haven't run the first part of the race all that hard. Now Parnham Stokes up. It's a him coming 4 deep before the home bend. In the middle came Amarino. Platinum Rockers down on the rail. And then Elite Bell and Callahar. But Barraquee now given an inch of rain at the 250, a length and a half in front of the stablemate Magnificio. Checkpoint down on the rails. Platinum Rocker. Elite Bell further back in the field is getting home at 100 miles an hour. She's storming home, Elite Bell. She went to Barraquee, picked him up, a super win. Elite Bell first up, blows them away in the Prince of Wales to win from Barraquee, Magnificio or Checkpoint in a photo there for third place. Behind them, Platinum Rocker, Amarino, It's a Him, and Callahar's one of the last home.
What a performance, Elite Bell for the Williams team. Willie Pike right down the outside. She is pretty good, Elite.
We'll wait and see what comes out of that. And just out of that Perth race that we saw with Grant Williams and Bob Peters' horse winning Elite Bell, the Barraquee got beaten there, but did pull up guys with an elevated heart rate and was very slow to recover. So might have had a little bit of an excuse, but she's always promised to win a really good race, Elite Bell.